Chapter 378. Hiring. Apart from the tenants, there should be at least 100 households in Jianghu village, right? Just see how many of them want to join the project. If everyone wants to be part of it, then we can only divide them into 2 batches, one for every other day, and only one person is hired from each household. Xiao Yunduan added. We only need strong young men, and other people can join if a family doesn't have strong young men. Ding Erju nodded and said with a smile, Okay, I understand what I should do after hearing your plan. 21 a day with lunch, that is tempting for everyone except for those who are too lazy to work. The 3 of them talked more in detail, regarding how to separate the groups and exclude those who were lazy at work but active in eating and getting money. Gradually everything was sorted. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian would come to them again after 3 days, when Ding Erju and the land officer completed the final deal. If all went well, the project could start real soon. Xiao Xian looked at their house and smiled. This house is okay for the moment but not for the winter. We need to have someone watch over the tea land, and to have grain stored and the creeping figs planted. We will need to have one place for that. When the tea trees are done, we will build a huge house here and both of you can move in. Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou had been thinking about going into the town and buying some paper to add to the walls of this wooden house. They even thought about saving some money to buy coals and blankets and make some thick winter clothes, but Xiao Xian started to talk about building a house. Xiao Xian had mentioned it once before, but she and Xiao Yunduan never mentioned that again, so Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou did not take it seriously. Maybe they had some other plans and decided to leave this one aside. After all, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan did not owe them anything. They needed to solve their problems themselves rather than wait for the new house to be built. Hence, they were both shocked upon hearing what Xiao Xian said. Xiao Yunduan added his view as well. It is time to have it built, otherwise it would be inconvenient. Yeah, I want to dig a pool to raise fish and plant lotus roots too. Ding Erju felt quite embarrassed. Alright. Then we will move into the new place thanks to you again. When we have more money in the future we will build 2 more rooms. Xiao Xian smiled. Just live here if you want to and we will build the house next to ours, which is very convenient. They had a son and they could not possibly just live in the house which Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian built. So for a long-term plan they still needed to build one for themselves. Ding Erju smiled brightly and nodded. Ms. Zhou was very glad as well. Before the couple left, Ms. Zhou asked Xiao Xian, Dear niece-in-law, can I ask my mother to help me with steaming buns? Shirtu is still too young to go about by himself, and I need someone to watch out for him in case he runs into something unpleasant. Ms. Zhou was a mild person but her mother was not so gentle. Ms. Zhou needed her mother to back her up. If the women who worked took them at will or their children came to fetch them, or even the children from the village offered the eagerness to fetch the steamed buns, Ms. Zhou would be too timid to say no. Xiao Xian smiled. That is a good idea. I was worried whether you could spare more time and energy into it. It would be good that your mother comes over. The land officer's wife could help as well. Both your mother and the land officer's wife can earn 31 a day and you will be paid monthly, which is not included in this. Chapter 379. Uncaring MS. Zhou let out a sigh of relief and said with a smile, I don't work that much and I am still getting paid. Now that I have work to do, I can't get extra payment this time. Xiao Xian laughed. You have helped us a lot. Without your help, we would not have harvested the rice so smoothly. The tenants had no idea who on earth Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were, except that they were from outside the village. But for the couple who watched them doing the harvest, they might not have been honest in their efforts. Some might even have harvested some to their own home first. But during the harvest there was always someone who was watching them work. Ms. Zhou and Ding Erju were both quite embarrassed. That is what we ought to do. After Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan left, Xiao Xian still believed that the payment was quite low. She smiled at Xiao Yunduan. If all goes well after we are done, we can even give the red packets to each laborer. I think 51 should be good enough, what do you think? Xiao Yunduan nodded and said to her, You can spread the news around so they may work harder for that goal. Xiao Xian's eyes brightened as she chuckled. Yeah, they should be motivated enough not to cause any trouble or allow anyone else to cause trouble. Shortly after Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were gone, Ding Erju went to visit the land officer of the Jianghu village. The land officer always believed that Ding Erju was Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan's relatives, so he treated him very politely. They had a very smooth and happy conversation during the deal. Xiao Xian knew that the local hooligans had some reputation in the village, and the land officer of the local area should be given some extra benefits for containing them. When the land officer got the benefits, Xiao Xian would get him to hire the villagers to work for him so he could be pleased too. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan went back to the town, fetched what they left at Manager Qin I's place and headed home. Bull cart was a bit slow and Xiao Xian smiled. When the new house is built, let's buy a donkey cart for faster traveling. Xiao Yunduan nodded. When the new house was built, they would have a lot of space to put the donkey cart as well. They could not think about buying a wagon, since it was quite difficult to obtain. Even those rich people in town would not be able to afford a horse sometimes. When they went back home, they shared the presents with the whole family. Those presents were of different categories including clothes, food, and daily necessities. Miss Fong smiled with a sigh. We all have savings and we can buy what we need ourselves. You don't have to buy us anything. You and Yunduan should save money for future use. Miss Fong firmly believed that her son would make it to the next level and his studying would cost a lot of money. Xiao Xian smiled. Don't worry, Mom. We barely spend any money and we have savings as well. Also, we are making a lot of money too, right? Miss Fong chuckled. True, and that is all because you helped us with it. Miss Su was very delighted. She had been thinking about making winter clothes, either with her own money or the shared savings. But Xiao Xian had brought so many materials home, even cotton. That saved her a lot of money. Yang Xiaoni was glad too. She placed the garment on herself, asking her husband if she looked nice. Chapter 380, Unwatchable. Xiao Sanling nodded and kept speaking highly of his wife's good looks. Yang Xiaoni felt bashful. Her cheeks were flushed but her eyes were sparkling and she smiled brightly. Miss Fong did not look at them while the rest pretended not to have seen the whole episode. The couple had always been like this and the rest of the family was used to it by now. 3 days later, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan went to the Jianghu village with the required money. They finalized the deal with Ding Erju, Ms. Zhou's mother, land officer, and his wife regarding opening the barren land. All the villagers at the Jianghu village were glad about this project and almost every household applied to work on it. So, they were divided into 2 batches and took turns in doing the labor work. The land officer received a huge red packet and he was highly motivated. He said that he was going to watch over everybody so that nobody would get lazy during the work hours. Hearing that there would be an even bigger red packet after the project was done, the land officer became even more delighted. Xiao Xian smiled. We would need many more laborers for our tea mountains. Work hard and we will hire more people. Those who don't work hard would have to be excluded, and we would hire people from other villages. The land officer nodded. Don't worry, we are all down-to-earth people and we will work hard. I will get rid of those sneaky ones for you. The land officer and his wife felt energized and devoted when he heard that there would be more money to make in the future. The wife was going to be in charge of making steamed buns, and she would be able to take a few more since she was in charge. That was such a great deal that should not be let go of. No one would allow anyone to make trouble about this. Most of the workers were those who needed such temporary tasks. Seeing that Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were able to afford the land, they suspected that they had some mysterious and powerful supporters behind their back, thus not daring to cause trouble for them. So soon the work started full-fledgedly at Jianghu village. The first morning was a bit chaotic, but at noon everyone queued up and got to eat steamed buns. Not only were they big but the meaty buns were really full of meat when they took a bite. Everyone finally believed that the owner didn't lie, and the wages must be the same. So they were definitely going to work hard to earn the extra red packets of bonuses. They worked obediently and occasionally, there were a few who got lazy but before Ding Erju and the land officer's son reprimanded them and everyone slowly straightened out. Everything went well. No chaos appeared, generally speaking. Steamed buns were steamed on a temporary stove in front of Ding Erzu's house. Needless to say, the 7 working women and their children who came to have fun ate together at noon. Also, the other children came to the stove as well around lunchtime. They were all drooling for the steamed buns by the time they were cooked. Not every household was able to afford to eat steamed buns like these. Xiao Xian wasn't an unscrupulous person. Although the flour used to make steamed buns was not the best, it was still quite good. The authentic flour was steamed in a big steamer, and it gave out a strong fragrance. The land officer's wife did not want to offend the fellow villagers, so she could not do anything about the situation. She could not even drive away people who were queuing up for the steamed buns. Ms. Zhou was not capable of turning them down alone. But Ms. Zhou's mother used a huge basket to hold steamed buns and rolls and gave them to each child until the basket was emptied. Those who failed to get the steamed buns could queue up the next day. Chapter 381. Almost the children left cheerfully after they ate, but those who did not manage to get the buns refused to move. Aunt Zhou, Ms. Zhou's mother, coaxed them away and asked them to come back earlier next time. Some women could not help but complain. But we have so many left, let's just give them one. Aunt Zhou said, the owner is too kind-hearted, but we can't just indulge ourselves. They make money with hard work too. 40 steamed buns for free every day. That is so generous of our owner. How about we not offer any starting from tomorrow so we all save trouble? The woman said with a smile, No, you are right. Our owner is already generous enough and I should not have said such a thing. If the 40 free steamed buns and rolls were gone because of what she said, many people would blame her for being nosy. Her intention was to show her generosity through others' generosity, but she did not want to ruin what existed right now. The woman regretted so much as not to say such a thing. The land officer's wife could not help but add, Aunt Zhou is right. We need to stick to the rules. Our owner is so generous and kind like no other, we can't just get carried away and offer free food for our children too. We need to be reasonable since we are being paid well. The others nodded in agreement. Not everyone was able to eat steamed buns throughout the year. But for the owner's agreement, Aunt Zhou would not have done so. If they offered more than they should, they might offend people and get complained about. Maybe all children from the village would hear about it and come to fetch the free steamed buns. What should they do then? Moreover, who would pay for the extra steamed buns? A few days after this happened, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan came to check on the situation, and Aunt Zhou told them about this. Feeling grateful, Xiao Xian gave Aunt Zhou and the land officer's wife 2 red packets, each of which contained 21. Surprising fortune would always cheer people up. The land officer's wife had understood one thing. If they worked hard, they would always get some bonus. She would have gained nothing extra if she did not interfere, whilst others would take advantage of it. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were quite assured in heart, seeing the field clearing project went well. Small problems and some fees could be ignored. They decided not to split hairs on those who worked for them and had everything sorted out smoothly. They could even stop giving the children steamed buns and rolls or drive them away, but that would cause a lot of conflict and dissatisfaction in the near future. If some accident happened, the villagers might offer a helping hand or just stand around watching the show, depending upon their treatment of the villagers. They could not keep asking for help without giving anything in return, which would make them look miserly and wicked. Proper kindness and generosity would make people feel grateful and cherish what they got now. Being kind without asking anything in return often caused trouble. Seeing that everything went well, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were totally assured and they came to check things every 5th or 6th day. Chapter 382, Xiao Lulang's guest. When they got some time to spare, Xiao Xian checked around in the yard and floral field, planning the dessert stores. Tao Tao and Qi offered their help as well. Whether or not the results turned out to be successful, the family did not complain. Instead, they ate up all the failed dishes. Yang Xiaoni was especially glad. She was so happy to be able to eat different desserts every day. Xiao Xian was thinking about asking Yuezhing Xiao to pay attention to a few ingredients, such as sagos, cassavas and sweet potatoes. The Yuezhing family was involved in vast businesses and they had more information and other resources than she did. Sagos were very useful for desserts. Cassavas could be made into powder for the small balls put in milk tea. Sweet potatoes could be made into many things. Xiao Xian tried to use flour to free up some starch, and made taro balls with steamed, mashed taro puree and pumpkin puree. They looked good but did not have good texture. Seasoned with honey, sweet sugar juice, Xiao Xian was not very satisfied with it. They definitely needed cassavas powder. So she was going to suggest Yuezhing Xiao to raise some cows to produce milk. But it was not very easy to obtain cows which might not be able to produce so much milk anyway. There were many small things to deal with if such a store was opened, but the profits would be magnificent as well. Seeing that there were not so many fish remaining in the tank, Xiao Xian decided to go to the river to fetch some fish in the afternoon with Qi, Tao Tao, Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Sanlang. It was already very cold and they could not possibly go into the water, but they had a fish net that could be used to get some. But by lunchtime, Xiao Lulang suddenly arrived with a strange-looking young master. Yang Xiaoni went to open the door and she was very startled seeing the 2 young men. Xiao Lulang looked quite proud. "Fifth cousin, are you here? My friend and I are here for a visit." The young man next to Xiao Lulang was wearing a sapphire blue satin gown with a cross collar, and his hair was tied high. He was about 22 or 23 years old. He was tall and thin with fair skin, but his face was a bit long, and his eyes were cloudy, giving people a rather frivolous and indecent feeling. He was very arrogant. He did not like this place nor did he like Xiao Lulang. But Xiao Lulang seemed to suck up to him constantly these days and invited him to his home multiple times. He turned the guy down enough times, but he was feeling bored at the moment, so he nodded and agreed to come. The moment the door was opened and the young master saw Yang Xiaoni, his eyes started sparkling. He straightened his back, trying to look as if he were a real gentleman who behaved gracefully. However, a pretentious man who had a terrible appearance just looked ridiculous when he tried to act like a gentleman. Yue Jingxiao had met real young masters like Xie Jingrong and Yue Jingxiao, so when she saw someone like this in front of her, she laughed. The way he looked at her made Yang Xiaoni feel quite disgusted. Yang Xiaoni was a very sensitive woman and figured out that this was not a good man at all. But this seemingly elegant man smiled at Yang Xiaoni, who got startled and took a few steps backwards. The young master laughed even more proudly seeing her behavior. He thought that Yang Xiaoni was just feeling shy. Yang Xiaoni turned around and left directly, ignoring Xiao Lulang completely. Chapter 383. Proud. The young master smiled even more proudly when he saw Yang Xiaoni's retreating figure. Xiao Lulang frowned but then smiled at the young master. She's just a countryside woman who doesn't know how to behave. Don't get angry, okay? Young Master Zhao was not mad. Instead he looked sleazy and laughed. Who is that? Xiao Lulang had always been trying to suck up to young Master Zhao, who never spoke to him of his own accord. Hearing his question, Xiao Lulang said, "My cousin's wife." He could not help but complain. She is from the Yang family. Her brother and sister-in-law are such horrible people. Our family should not have married someone like this, but my cousin fell for her, so he insisted on marrying her, no matter what. Xiao Lulang shook his head and said disdainfully, "My cousin is so simple-minded, he just likes her look, not anything else about her, so stupid." Young Master Zhao laughed as he thought of Yang Xiaoni's looks. He smiled. This girl did look very pretty, and it was quite normal that she could fascinate some men. But what a pity that she married a countryside man. It was like putting a beautiful flower upon cow dung. Hearing Xiao Lulang coming in, Miss Fang came out of the room and frowned at him. "What are you doing here, and who is this man?" Miss Fang glanced at young Master Zhao and felt disgusted inwardly. This man looked so pretentious. She was experienced enough to understand immediately what young Master Zhao was like. Xiao Lulang looked very proud. Young Master Zhao is the second young master of Master Zhao in the city, my fellow classmate at the college. He is here visiting me and we came over to talk to my fifth cousin. Xiao Lulang looked so proud as if he were showing off. Look how generous he was to have brought his friend with him. He was sharing his friend network with Xiao Yunduan. Miss Fang did not get what Xiao Lulang meant. She did not like this young Master Zhao, but they were here after all, so she could not drive them away. She asked Qi to fetch Xiao Yunduan. She was thinking about speaking with Yundan not to talk with this man too much because he looked absolutely ill-mannered. Xiao Yunduan was reading in the room and Xiao Xian Tao Tao were in the yard working. Hearing the sound of door knocking, Xiao Yunduan walked and was surprised to see young Master Zhao. He knew this man for sure, the younger son of Master Zhao and Zhao Ming's brother. Zhao Guanghua was studying at a college in the province and did not come back until the beginning of the year. News spread that he came back home because he had a fight at a brothel with someone and he got so humiliated that he just could not face anyone there anymore. He was expelled from the college and was forced to return home. So here he was. He was a very arrogant man. Just because he studied at a college in the province and had no one with the same background in this place, he believed that he was the best and the only worthy one around. Chapter 384. Evil Plan. The Zhao family was one of the richest families in the local area, and many people were always trying to suck up to them. But Xiao Yunduan was not one of those. In his opinion, Zhao Guanghua's appearance surprised him but did not please him. On the other hand, Xiao Lulang was feeling quite proud. "Brother Zhao is here to visit me, so I am showing around." Xiao Yunduan said inside his heart, "Thank you very much, damn." He did not intend to receive Zhao Guanghua at his home. He was not a well-mannered man, considering he had a fight with someone else for some woman at the brothel. Most importantly, he did not want him to see Xiao Xian and Tao Tao. Xiao Yunduan greeted politely and said, "We have many people at home, sixth cousin. We can have a chat at your home." "I would like to have a chat at your place, brother Xiao." Zhao Guanghua still dreamt of meeting Yang Xiaoni again. If he could stay, he might see her again. He did not intend to do anything else right now, but he was always attracted to beautiful women. As he thought about how favorable he might look compared to the farmer she married, he believed that Yang Xiaoni was definitely going to love him deeply, and regret having gotten married so early. In this way he would feel really satisfied and proud. If he could at least speak with Yang Xiaoni, Then he would be content and feel a little smug. Xiao Lulang also intended to go home, but hearing what Zhao said, he replied, "We can definitely sit at your home to chat. Cousin, you would be very happy, right?" Xiao Yunduan frowned. "We have no good tea to serve young Master Zhao. So please, young Master Zhao, this way." Xiao Yunduan held his cousin's arm and walked outside. When he and Xiao Lulang both left, "That man should not stay as well, right?" "Hey you!" Xiao Lulang, who had intended to protest, got startled seeing Xiao Yunduan's cold look. He was dragged away wordlessly. As they walked out of the yard, Xiao Yunduan glanced back at Zhao Guanghua and said, "Please hurry up, young Master Zhao." He did not even wait for him to join him. Zhao Guanghua had no choice but to follow. He felt quite annoyed not to have been able to flirt with the beautiful girl he had drooled at. For now he had no choice but to leave. He just did not have the reason to stay here when the owner was gone. Zhao Guanghua glanced at Xiao Yunduan and asked ironically, "Yunduan, you are not trying to drive me away from your house, right?" "Of course not." Xiao Yunduan raised his eyebrows and said peacefully, "My home is quite small and we have no good tea. I just don't want young Master Zhao to suffer from the inconvenience, thus turning you away." "Is that so?" Zhao Guanghua could not believe that. "Of course yes." Xiao Lulang was cursing Xiao Yunduan inwardly but had to defend him. "Brother Zhao, honored guests like you always light up someone's home, and my cousin wishes that you could be here, but he is quite stubborn, so just drop the idea." Zhao Guanghua thought for a while. He did not think that there would be anyone who would refuse to hang out with him, given his background. He might have overthought about this. He smiled. "Oh, okay, my bad. It is okay without tea, I'm not that particular, we can do that next time, okay?" Chapter 385. Not to his home. Xiao Lulang kept saying yes, but sneaked a look at Xiao Yunduan. He felt quite sour inwardly. He had tried his best to get young Master Zhao to his home, but the esteemed guest became more interested in Xiao Yunduan instead. That was really annoying. Xiao Yunduan could not help but feel a bit worried. He could not understand Zhao Guanghua's purpose of trying to befriend him and wanting to visit his home. Then he thought of how his sister Zhao Ming was hanging out with Chiao Wei, and he suspected that he might be here digging around seeing what happened to Chiao Wei. The elder Miss Chiao was so annoying. The more Xiao Yunduan thought about this, the more he believed that it was the truth. Xiao Yunduan did not trust him that he was here to visit his cousin. So, he was not going to let him get close to his own home. He had accompanied Qiao Xian to the Qiao mansion, and he knew that Qiao Xian pretended to be very obedient and quiet, honest in front of the family. She didn't even get mad even when she was laughed at. If Zhao Guanghua saw how bright and stunning she looked, he might leak that news. So Xiao Yunduan sped up. At the third section of the family, Ms. Ma had just killed a chicken and was getting ready to cook. Seeing Xiao Yunduan coming over, she got very displeased, but she did not dare to say anything and just glanced at him. Xiao Yunduan had not noticed this since he was thinking about Qiao Xian all the time. Xiao Ai Inling tried his best to suck onto Zhao Guangna, who did not bother to respond that often, while Xiao Yunduan was mostly silent. The three of them were killing time in this way. Xiao Yunduan had intended to leave before lunch, but he was worried that Zhao Guanghua would move to his home with an excuse of saying goodbye, so he stayed. Ms. Ma could not stand it anymore and forced a false smile. "Yunduan, aren't you going back for lunch?" Xiao Yunduan smiled. "Sorry that I have to trouble you today, Ms. Ma." Xiao Lulang did eat at the first section of the family's home the other day, and he still remembered the amazing food. Also, he just could not drive away Xiao Yunduan at this point. So he stopped Ms. Ma directly. Ms. Ma had always adored this precious son of hers, so she said nothing more even though she was annoyed. She just left with a twisted face. Soon the dishes were served. Ms. Ma was quite terrible at cooking. The chicken was so roughly made, okay looking, but was the only properly prepared dish. The other two vegetable dishes did not have any oil. Xiao Yunduan stopped after moving the chopstick symbolically. He could not eat anything like this after trying the dishes made by Qiao Xian. Zhao Guanghua was the same too. He frowned after trying one bite and could not stand the taste anymore. He was young Master Zhao and he did not care about this badly cooked chicken. Only Xiao Lulang kept eating happily. He even told Zhao Guanghua to feel at home, without noticing that Zhao Guanghua already dropped the chopsticks. Zhao Guanghua glanced at him, twisted his lip corners and felt disdainful. No one would come to this person's home for a visit if he had not been bored. He did not deserve his visit. Zhao Guanghua was more interested in Xiao Yunduan, and waited for him to speak with him. Xiao Yunduan was, however, silent all the time, and Zhao Guanghua could not help but initiate the conversation. Xiao Yunduan nodded and replied briefly without saying anything more. Chapter 386. Jealous Xiao Guanghua felt even more bored. These two cousins were quite funny. One was overly passionate to flatter him, the other was completely silent. He never would have believed that Xiao Yunduan was trying to ignore him. He was young Master Zhao. Feeling bored, Xiao Guanghua left the place after the meal. He was out for fun, and if he could not find it, there was no point in being here any longer. He could not find anything interesting here at all. Xiao Lulang just could not keep him. Xiao Guanghua decided not to speak with Xiao Lulang anymore, but he thought of Yang Xiaoni and intended to have some conversation with her in the future. Xiao Yunduan let out a sigh of relief when that man was gone. He hoped that this man would never come back. Xiao Lulang felt quite angry. Fifth cousin, you have behaved terribly. Brother Zhao doesn't come to us often and I let you eat with him, why did you show him a cold face? Xiao Lulang believed that it was Xiao Yunduan who gave Xiao Guanghua the cold shoulder, because of which he left so quickly. Xiao Yunduan was not bothered to talk about this. He reminded him. I believe that you know why Xiao Guanghua came back home from the province's college? He is so frivolous and arrogant, not a very good person to befriend, you better stay away from him. Xiao Lulang was not bothered to hear these words of his. That is just a rumor, why do you choose to believe it? I like Brother Zhao. He is friendly, warm and not at all arrogant. You must be jealous of me, right? That is your problem. You aren't the only person who can hang out with rich young masters. I can too. Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan did not like to teach anyone. He was not Xiao Lulang's father and he already told him what he should hear. But now he was being accused of being jealous. Then what was the point of continuing? There was no need to say anything more. Whatever you like. Xiao Yunduan left from there directly. Seeing his retreating figure, Xiao Lulang just did not know what to do. How dare he must be jealous of me. Yes. As he thought about this, Xiao Lulang could not help but feel happy that he finally befriended a rich person. The plan of building a new house at the first section of the family was finally going to be realized. They wanted to build a house soon so they could move in before the new year. Eldest uncle suggested adding 2 new rooms next to what they had now. But the family believed that they should demolish the present structure and build a new one. Feeling alone, elder uncle got very angry. We don't have the money. Qiao Xian smiled and said proudly, Dad, money is not the issue. That made the eldest uncle feel even worse. That is your money, not the family's money. Qiao Xian felt quite surprised. Her father-in-law was not greedy at all. She was offering to share her money with the family, and everyone else should be glad about it. In fact, other people might be worried that she would regret that. Qiao Xian felt a bit complicated at heart, not knowing what to say about him. Dad, it is the same thing. What matters is to live a happy and cozy life, right? Also, my husband will take care when he becomes a promising man. 1 a.m. Just Ailm Trust Ania 0 one time roar you. Or, my news Dana can give Ciani money back to me later. The others nodded in agreement. Anyways, everyone except for him knew that it was Miss Fong who was putting in the money for the new house, not Qiao Xian. Chapter 387. Speechless, but they decided not to say anything about it. After all, they wanted to live a peaceful life, rather than get bothered by unnecessary trouble that ruined their mood. Eldest uncle was speechless. Whatever you like. Miss Fong struck the table resolutely. Done. However, when the old house was demolished and a new plan was made, they needed to find a place to live temporarily. Well, they could have borrowed some empty place from the second and the third section of the family, but they would never let it happen. They did not want to be taken advantage of by their relatives. Apart from eldest uncle, no one from the first section of the family would be interested in sharing a place with the second and third section of the family. In the end, Miss Fong went to speak with the land officer and the clan tribe, so the whole family decided to have a temporary place in the empty house next to the ancestral hall. They could carry all the stuff and luggage there. A temporary hut could be built as the kitchen. Hearing that the first section wanted to build a new house, the whole village was shocked. The first section of the family has really flourished. They are building a new house. Yeah, where did they get that money from? But they have more and more people moving in, and they need to have new places for those upcoming grandchildren. It is more than building 2 extra rooms. They are building a completely new one. And they even bought a lot of land around the house. How big will that house be? That is not your concern. They have got a very rich daughter-in-law. 26 sets of dowry must have had a lot of gold and silver, enough for the new house. They were talking, full of envy and yearning. The second and third section of the family never expected that the first section of the family would start to build a new house. They could not help but come to their door, trying to tell them that the old house was still practical to live in, and only 2 extra rooms were enough, and that there was no need to demolish all and build a new one. Obviously, Miss Fong ignored their suggestion. When they learned that the first section of the family even bought 2 mu of land around the house in addition, they could not stand it anymore. Second uncle said, "Eldest brother and eldest sister-in-law, how big will your house be? Why did you buy the land around the house? Do you have this much money?" Ms. Nyo felt so sour. "If you can make money, please let us know about it too. We need a new house as well." Miss Fong smiled and ignored them. They were in no position to tell her family what they should do. Eldest uncle could not reach his hand into Xiao Xian's money, and he could not make any decision regarding house building. So when his brothers came and asked him about it, he had no choice but to say that it was because the old house was too small for them to live in, and that they were doing this for their grandchildren's sake. When the second and third section of the family asked about how they made money, he stopped himself from saying anything further. He did not dare to tell them that Xiao Xian was paying half of the amount and the other half was earned through selling valuable things. He did not want his brothers to blame him. But the second uncle found his silence even more suspicious. They believed that he must be hiding something, so they were not very happy when leaving the house. However, the house to be built by the first section of the family not only included more than 2 mu of land, but also covered the yard of the neighbor's house, a small vegetable garden and a small piece of open space around the neighbor's place, which came up to a total of more than 4 mu. Chapter 388, Shock that would make it 8 mu in total including the new house to be built. Then, including the 12 mu of Xiao Xian's garden, there would be 20 mu in total. That was 20 mu of land in total. The first section of the family would become the most wealthy family in the whole village. Well, the reason why the first section of the family was able to build this big house was originally because of the second and third section of the family. When the second and third section of the family divided the old house of the Xiao family, they added some small houses to it. In this way, the first section of the family did not have any place to live. Hence, eldest uncle found an empty place at the boundary of the village, very remote and leaving a lot of empty space for what they could have now. The whole village was really shocked and they all got so excited. Honestly, when the neighbors were moving, they looked so happy. So, the first section of the family must have given them a high price. Otherwise, who would be willing to sell the old house to outsiders and find an empty place outside the village to build new houses? However, the family was tight-lipped. They did not spill out a thing. They did utter a figure when forced, but no one believed that. Ms. Nyo and Ms. Ma felt so annoyed and hurt. They believed that the first section of the family was bullying them. Everyone was talking about the first section of the family building a new house, and wondered how much money it would cost for them to build. Some irritable people instigated them again and again, asking Ms. Nyo and Ms. Ma, "Your houses are very small too. Why don't you think about building a new one too? Yeah, your eldest brother and eldest sister-in-law have been taking care of you all this time, and they should share some of what they have got, right? They are so rich and they should help you." Both their faces turned red. Miss Fong was not going to help them with money, not at all. The most annoying person was Miss Chiao, who kept taking Miss Fang's side, because of which Miss Fong started to ignore them. But with little hope in their hearts, the second and third section of the family all rushed to the first section of the family. "Eldest brother, Siling is getting married in the new year and we don't have a new house for him. We need to build one room. What about sharing some of what you have left behind with us?" "Yeah, eldest brother, Siling is your nephew, the child of the Xiao family. Getting married is a huge thing and you must help us." Ms. Nyo said this and glanced at Miss Fong, who seemed to hear nothing and kept working on the sole of her shoes. Miss Fong ignored them. They could say whatever they wanted. She was not interested in anything they had to suggest. Dalong did not know what to say, so he left. Xiao Sanlang and Xiao Yunduan, Xiao Xian and Miss Su were all there. They wanted to watch the show, and also did not want Miss Fong to be bullied. Third uncle also joined in and tried to convince the eldest uncle. Third uncle thought that if his eldest brother helped the second section of the family, he would help the third section of the family as well. Yang Xiaoni was shocked. No wonder Yang Liang and Miss Tian could not cause any trouble here. Her mother-in-law knew exactly how to deal with the situation. Sweat ran alongside eldest uncle's forehead as he staggered. "Miss Fong, I don't think that building one more room would cost that much. What about? If it doesn't cost that much, they can build it themselves." Miss Fong sneered. Chapter 389, Shockingly Thick-Cheeked. You are old enough to have so many grandchildren and you still forced your old brother to pay you for your new house? How shameless you are. Second uncle and third uncle felt their cheeks burning. The words spoken by Ms. Fong were true and heart-wrenching. The children of the first section of the family glanced at them, making them feel embarrassed. But that was nothing compared to their jealousy and resentment. So what? Their eldest brother had been taking care of them for so many years, and there was no point in leaving them behind when they were living a happy life. Eldest sister-in-law, you are wrong. Eldest brother is capable now and he should take care of us brothers. We were born by the same parents and we should all live a happy life together, right? The children were all speechless. Sure, but they needed to create a happy life themselves. They were seeking advantage of them but still trying to make themselves sound as if they were being reasonable and righteous. Miss Fong smiled. What about you taking your eldest brother to your home so he can work for you and all the money he earns can be yours? All you need to do is to find him a place to live and feed him 3 meals a day. How does that sound? Second uncle and the others from the family were all stuck with words. Eldest uncle got so embarrassed as well. What are you talking about? I'm speaking the truth. Look, in this way you can take care of your brothers so they can live a good life too. How does that sound? Second uncle and his people got furious. They did not want eldest uncle. They needed Xiao Xian's dowry. They stubbornly believed that the first section of the family was spending Xiao Xian's dowry rather than assume that the first section of the family was earning their own money. Before they could respond, Miss Fong smiled at eldest uncle. Look, your brothers dislike you. They don't want you to be there. Eldest uncle, third uncle said, Elder sister-in-law, stop joking around. We will be laughed at if that happens for real. You are afraid of being laughed at? How surprising. That was the end of the conversation. Xiao Sanlang suddenly said, what about us building a house together? We have so much land, right? When the house is built, we can all live together and get to know each other better. Ms. Ma's eyes sparkled as she nodded. Yeah, that sounds great. Eldest brother, we are all a family. Yeah, we have a lot of space, right? The children of the first section were all shocked. These people were so shameless. So, they wanted to wait until the house was done before moving in with them? The second and third section of the family got so glad that they all started to discuss when to move in. Eldest uncle was stuck with words. But Miss Fong could not stand that anymore. She put down her sawls and pushed Ms. Niu out. Just get out of this place. What are you dreaming about? You move in when we build a new house? You are so shameless. Then she cursed at Xiao Lulang. You can stop going to school. Your head is full of shit. All you can do is to take advantage of people but can come up with nothing new yourself. Just come back to be a farmer instead, you will have nothing to live on in the future. Ms. Ma got very annoyed as she screamed. My son is definitely going to become an officer soon, what are you talking about? Ms. Fong said coldly, oh, then you can wait until he becomes one, get out of here. Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni were keeping Ms. Fong company, as they watched the opponents getting thrashed. They could not do anything about the elders directly, but if the elders gave Miss Fong a push, they were definitely going to teach them a lesson. Chapter 390, Tore off MS. Sue hesitated but then backed her up as well. When Miss Fong drove them out, Ms. Ma said angrily, you angry bitch, so unbelievable. Miss Fong smiled. If I am so unbelievable, you can stop talking with us and not come to my home. Third uncle. Eldest brother, why didn't you talk? Eldest uncle felt dizzy, his head was buzzing. He felt rather messed up. He was very sad about how such a family could become like this. He really wanted the whole family to live in harmony, but it never was in harmony. Miss Fong argued with him fiercely, and the whole family disliked him. Now even his brothers disliked him. He had never been treated well. Xiao Lulang was very angry by what Miss Fong said as well. Or that was because he had been shamed by Miss Fong. He could lie to himself or others, people like Ms. Ma and third uncle who trusted him blindly. He could even be stuck inside his fantasy. Yet he knew pretty well what he was like at the college. During the examination he couldn't answer any of those topics, and he just wished that he could have some luck to pass the examination. He waited 1 year after another, hoping that he could answer some of the topics on paper next year. But Miss Fong tore off the fantasy ruthlessly and he felt seen through. You should not look down upon me. Fifth cousin is nothing more than a cultivated talent, and you never know what is going to happen in the future. Miss Fong replied. All right then, you can make a fortune and be an officer if you want, don't worry about what we are doing in our family. Xiao Lulang. After driving them out, Miss Fong said to her children, have you spoken with the workers? When do we start? Xiao Yunduan responded quickly. We will tear down the house the day after tomorrow. Good. Miss Fong smiled. Just hurry up and remove what we need to remove. We are not living here anymore. She glanced at this familiar-looking yard and house, sighing emotionally. I have lived here for so long and I don't feel like leaving. Xiao Xian smiled. Mom, when we move into the new house you will definitely love it. We are going to use the best materials and the house should be intact even in a dozen years. Miss Fong smiled. That is great. They spent the next 2 days moving stuff to the ancestral hall, and it was very messy at home. They needed to hurry up with moving since the demolition started the day after tomorrow. They all went down to doing their own tasks. Miss Fong glanced at eldest uncle. Don't blame me for pushing them. They're just so annoying. Must we feed them all? Lu Yang is so stupid as to suggest that idea. He has read nothing in all these years. Eldest uncle was speechless. He was generous towards his brothers, but he could not counter his wife about what he had just heard. But Xiliang is getting married, so what? Miss Fong sneered. He has his own parents. We never turned to them for help when our sons got married. Eldest uncle, soon the process of tearing down the house and building the foundation of the new house of the first section of the family started. They did not lack any money, so they started to hire people and buy material quickly. All was going forward smoothly. That was a huge land and the whole family had already made an elaborate plan. There was a front yard, main house and backyard. The main house was a big place with 5 bays and 2 entrances. It was 2 stories high. The upper floor was going to be used to stack things and store grain and other harvested crops. Chapter 391. Work started. The east and west wing rooms were all built to be spacious, with a 3-bay pattern. Behind the 2 wing rooms there were 2 small courtyards. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian would live there. Xiao Yunduan needed to study, so he chose a quieter place. Xiao Dalong, Xiao Sanlang and Xiao Xiaoqi had rooms of their own, whilst Xiao Taotao and Miss Fong shared the main room. According to the blueprint given by the first section of the family, the construction team was in full swing on the day of construction, and more than half of the villagers came to watch the excitement. But no one from the second or the third section of the family showed up. Obviously they were still very annoyed. Miss Fong did not care. She pretended as if her mood was not at all affected. They did not even care what the eldest uncle was thinking at the moment. Xiao Xian and her team went into the mountains again when everyone was so busy. Xiao Xian was thinking about the golden sprouts and lavender tea leaves. She had many tea seeds at home last time, but they were not enough. Many seeds were not mature enough and they needed to revisit that place. They went into the mountains for 5 days in a row. On the first day they picked tea seeds, and then they started to seek and pick the creeping figs as well as mushrooms. The courtyard they were going to live in henceforth was large enough to sun-dry those things. When seeds were taken from the creeping figs, they were sun-dried in the sun and were put in the large bamboo pan. In the meanwhile they dug more than 20 to 25 kilograms of lilies and dates. There were still many persimmons and wild chestnuts in the mountains, but they had not yet reached the ripe season, and they had to wait for a while before they turned delicious. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan worked for a few days and soon after visited the Jianghu village again. The project of opening the land at the Jianghu village was almost done. The couple was very satisfied by the effect. This was for planting tea trees, not crops. As long as the large and small tree stumps were dug up, it would not matter if the weeds were not cleared. They needed to make a lot of effort in removing the weeds in the first 2 days. Then it will slowly fall in place. By the time the house was built, the opening of the land project would almost come to an end. At that time they could start to build the side yards. Building a house was quick. It was much faster and more convenient to lay the foundation and start laying bricks than earth ramming. Building a house would take about 4 days. Miss Fong saw with her own eyes that a tall, magnificent and spacious main house was built. She felt extremely happy. The main room was larger, and when that was done the other rooms would be constructed even faster. After all the rooms were done they could build the entire large yard. Then the small yards would be divided, along with the utility rooms. They would build sheds for raising chickens and ducks, lay floor tiles, repair drinking pools. In this way, they would be able to finish the work within 1 month or so. Then they would install doors and windows and have the requisite furniture made. They were definitely going to move in before the new year. The other sections of the family were so jealous and furious. After they were driven out the other day, they were secretly paying attention to how fast the new house was built. Ms. Niu felt very sour inside her heart, seeing the house getting ready little by little. She turned to look at second uncle. We can build a new house too. Xiling needs some space to get married. We need it to look good for him. Second uncle felt quite annoyed too as he said, Yes, we will build one on our empty space, not with their help. We are going to get a new house too. True. Only then did Ms. Nyo feel slightly better. She was getting a new house too. Chapter 392. Suspicion. The second section of the family also started to hire people to build the house. Originally, they were thinking of borrowing some materials such as bricks, stones, and gravel from the first section of the family, but Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian had long been on guard against them. The purchase of these things was contracted to the foreman who built the house, and the foreman was responsible for the purchase. All Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian did was to examine the quality and sign, confirming the source of the material on each paper. The foreman would gain some profits from it too. Most people in this era were quite practical. They took money and worked hard. Also, they barely had a chance to fabricate anything. For example, the number of black bricks bought could not be fabricated. They used solid woods, not composite lumber. With the foreman who was in charge, the first section of the family saved themselves a lot of trouble. What they needed was to get everything examined well but not get worried about anything else. But Ms. Nyo and second uncle did not know about this. They tried to carry the black bricks away and said resolutely, "This is my eldest brother's home and I can borrow a few as his brother. I can repay them later. You are an outsider and this matter has nothing to do with you, you are just a laborer. What are you stopping me for?" But the foreman lectured them and explained the details with a cold face, driving them away. He had bought everything with his money, and if Ms. Nyo carried them away, he would need to make the compensation himself. They had not expected that the first section of the family had done the preparation in this way, thus getting even more annoyed. The first section of the family has spent so much money in hiring people, how much is it? They haven't lent us anything but they can waste the money on this. Ms. Zhang was most furious. The second section of the family did not offer to build a new house for her when she got married. But now Xiling was getting married and he would get a new house. She was not worse than anyone else as a daughter-in-law. Why was she so badly treated? She did not dare to complain about IAT in front of Ms. Nyo but cried badly in front of Xiao Erlang behind their backs. Xiao Erlang had not felt that anything was wrong with it because he felt happy that his family was getting a new house. But hearing her tearful complaints, he could not help but feel annoyed and displeased. He could not help but mention this to second uncle that he needed one more room too because his children were growing up and they would have no place to live in later on. Second uncle and Ms. Nyo, who were still annoyed by not being able to get anything from the first section of the family, lectured Xiao Erlang on hearing what he said. One room was already so difficult for them, how could they afford two? They would talk about building new ones in the future. Ms. Nyo was sure that it was Ms. Zhang who would have mentioned it. So she lectured her and gave her a hard time for a few days in a row. Ms. Zhang felt so upset that she cribbed about Ms. Nyo and second uncle as well as the first section of the family. But for the stingy first section of the family, nothing like this would have happened. On the other hand, the first section of the family had no idea what was going on with the second section of the family. Despite shifting to a new room, Xiao Yunduan was still reading, memorizing books most of the time, whilst Xiao Xian took a break and went into the mountains again. Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni kept her company on some occasions. Xiao Xian and her team did not go into the deep section of mountains every time. There were many mushrooms in the forests as well. They could see the creeping figs every now and then and she was able to find them easily. There were many wild fruits in the mountains too, ripe with a sweet and sour taste. There were a lot of fun things in the mountains. Chapter 393. Updated Space. Zhao Xian was thinking that Yuejing Xiao might send his men to fetch the last batch of lip balms and he sure did. It was Chu Shan who came over. Chu Shan greeted her and gave her a present, as well as a letter written by Yuejing Xiao. What surprised Zhao Xian was that the present Yuejing Xiao sent for her was a pot with 5 ginseng. Yuejing Xiao had just written to his elder brother who was called Yuejing Hong, who believed that the whole thing was very troublesome. But his younger brother rarely asked him for anything so he could not help but feel like helping him so he did that in the end. Ginsengs without being processed would get rotten after a long while. So, Yuejing Hong made a lot of efforts after getting 5 of them, put them in 2 pots and finally transplanted them into 1 pot. When the pot arrived, the ginseng was dying. Yuejing Xiao was worried that it would be gone within a few days, so he asked Chu Shan to have it delivered to Qiao Xian as soon as possible. Qiao Xian thanked him sincerely and carried the pot into the garden with Xiao Taotao. They could not just disappear in her space. They needed to be planted in the yard. After a while, she could tell others in a seemingly casual way that the 5 pieces of ginseng were dead or gone, then her work would be done. It was her stuff and Miss Fong would not say anything about it, let alone others. She was the only one who had the key to the garden, and she could easily conceal her secret if she wanted to. She drove away Tao Tao and put the 5 ginseng into her space. The ginseng, which were on the verge of dying, started turning better when moved to space. Qiao Xian felt that with her heart. When the 5 ginseng were planted in the soil, the space became even more lively and vital. It was autumn, and everything naturally withered. Many plants had stopped growing and some had become bare. Qiao Xian's superpower was affected by the seasons, and it was not as active as in spring and summer. But the space had not been so lively for a long while. She felt much more energetic when the ginseng were in the soil. Qiao Xian came out when she felt better, after feeling what was inside her head. She believed that if she planted some more precious plants in her space, the space would turn tremendously different. That was to say, the accumulation of quantitative changes to a certain extent would lead to qualitative changes. That made Qiao Xian very excited. She also kept telling herself not to get overly worried about it. The environment she lived in was still too remote and closed, and precious and rare plants were not easy to come by. Sometimes it was all about chances. Yuezhing Xiao was quite reliable and he could be entrusted to find something good. Also, they were building a new house and she was going to need some more plants. She was definitely going to ask Yuezhing Xiao to find those new, precious plants for her. She only needed the rare varieties such as orchids like ghost orchids, crane tops and lotus petals, peonies such as Yaowangwizi, plum blossoms such as green plums, dead branch plums, camellias such as 18 bachelors, hentiango, chidan, etc. She wanted to get them with the thought that if the space accepted other flowers and trees as long as they were rare enough, the space would accept them all. She was thinking about how to get these rare plants. Chapter 394. Into province, these precious flowers and trees could only be obtained by famous and wealthy families. There were very few transactions of these kinds in the flower and tree market. After all, ordinary people could not afford these things. Only rich and powerful families could spend a lot of money to buy them and carefully cultivate them. Money was not the initial condition. It was just a method to get through. The atmosphere seemed a bit strange as she went home. Qiao Xian turned to look at Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan smiled. I was just about to fetch you. Brother Yuezhing has invited us to have a gathering of literature in the province after 3 days. Do you want to join us? Qiao Xian's eyes sparkled. Of course. She could hopefully find precious flowers, shrubs and trees there. She would be too stupid to refuse the invitation. Of course. Qiao Xian nodded as she smiled. Young Master Yuezhing mentioned that the gathering should be of great importance. You should not miss it. Xiao Yunduan nodded. That is exactly what I think. Ms. Fang and the others in the family nodded in agreement. Qiao Xian was going to keep him company. Chu Shan smiled. Then, please get your luggage ready tonight so we can leave tomorrow morning. Xiao Yunduan nodded happily. This way, Chu Shan and the coachman spent their first night at the first section of the family. They slept on the floor of Xiao Zioqi's room. Ms. Fang asked Xiao Xiaoqi and Tao Tao to follow them to the province since there was nothing much going on in the family. Xiao Yunduan was hesitant about this. Living as a large family next to the ancestral hall was not as convenient as living at home. There was still farm work to do every day and the house was being built. Somebody had to go see it a few times. If half of the family was gone, they were running out of helping hands in the family. What if the other sections of the family caused trouble at the time? He was worried that his mother would run into a problem when he and Xiao Xian were absent. Miss Fang seemed to have seen through his concern and she smiled. Don't worry, just do what you need to do. I am not bullied easily and I have Sanlang and Ms. Yang with me here. Dalong was too honest to fight back, especially when Miss Fang and eldest uncle were in an argument. But if Miss Fang was bullied, he would definitely step forward. Miss Su was not a good helper, but if she forced her to help her as a mother-in-law, she would not refuse to do so. Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni were with her and they always took her side. So, even if Xiao Yunduan and the others were away for a while, it would be fine. Xiao Yunduan agreed and nodded at the proposal. Early the next day, Qiao Xian, Xiao Yunduan, Qi and Tao Tao left with Chu Shan and the coachman. After breakfast, Miss Su, Yang Xiaoni were doing housework, whilst Miss Fang was taking care of her grandchildren as Xiao Dalong and his brother went to check around the new house before heading to the mountains for wood chopping. It was getting cold soon and they needed to store as much wood as possible, enough for the winter and the spring. Wood was not easily obtained when it rained too much in spring. Miss Fang looked and saw Xiao Lulang in front of him. Oh, what are you doing here? Miss Fang sounded calm but she looked very cold. This man had the audacity to suggest moving the whole family together after their new house was built. Miss Fong looked down at him to an extreme degree. Chapter 395. Regretful. Xiao Lulang did not sense her displeasure though. He had always thought highly of himself, and he said with a smile, "Eldest aunt." He asked in a pretentiously casual way. "You had guests last night, right? They seem to be young Master Yu's servants, right? Have they left already?" Many people had seen Chu Shan coming to the village the day before, and Xiao Lulang saw that too. But he lost interest in the visit, since Chu Shan was here alone. So he did not come to them the day before. But he got quite curious as he came to them in the morning. Unfortunately, the wagon was gone, so was the man. Miss Fong let out a cry of surprise. Xiao Lulang smiled. "I need to talk with my cousin." Miss Fong stopped him. "Your cousin has left with Chu Shan." "What?" Xiao Lulang's face changed. "So Chu Shan was here to take him away as a guest to their place?" Miss Fong looked at him with confusion, wondering what made him so excited at the moment. She nodded. "Yeah." Xiao Lulang suddenly felt regretful. "But I had a nice chat with young Master Yu last time as well. Why didn't my cousin ask me to join them? He should have come to them the night before and asked about the visit. He had just missed the great opportunity." Miss Fong was speechless. Young Master Yuezhing and young Master Xie were getting on well with her son, not with Lulang. She said, "But Chu Shan didn't say that young Master Yu invited you." Xiao Lulang got stuck with words and turned pale. "But we are cousins and we are together, right?" Miss Fong found it hard to counter him about this, so she let out a small "okay," and said nothing more. Xiao Lulang had no idea what else to say. What could he do since the wagon was long gone? He could try to chase the wagon. But he would not be able to catch up at all. He wanted to lecture eldest aunt, but he did not dare to. Xiao Lulang thought of an idea and said, "Where does young Master Yu live?" Miss Fong understood clearly what he wanted to do and replied with a smile. "One have no idea." Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang felt that Miss Fong was lying, but he could not prove that. "You really have no idea?" "No." Xiao Lulang got so annoyed as he said, "Can you swear on that?" Miss Fong threw a look at him. "What is wrong with you? I would be mental to swear on this. Just leave me alone. Honestly, you can't do any labor work and just read and write. So, you should just stay in the room and read on your own. What will you do if you don't pass any examinations?" That was so heartbreaking for him to hear. Xiao Lulang. He felt even more annoyed. Xiao Lulang felt regretful as he came back home in distress. Ms. Ma asked him about it in concern. Xiao Lulang did not want to mention it, but he could not help and complain to Ms. Ma. Ms. Ma did not feel any sympathy but snapped angrily. "They're just showing off. They have rich friends, but so do you. Just ignore them. If you feel bored, go and visit young Master Zhao again." Xiao Lulang was startled. In fact, he understood clearly that his relationship with Zhao Guanghua was totally different from Xiao Yunduan's relationship with those two young masters. But he did not want to admit that. Chapter 396. Favored by beauty. That was why he tried hard to suck up to the two young masters. He somehow believed that if the two young masters befriended him, he would have a lot of wonderful things coming to him in the future. Zhao Guanghua was different from them. But he could not just say that out loud. His mother would not understand. Bothered and flustered, Xiao Lulang could not stay at home and went to the Zhao family for real. Zhao Guanghua was feeling very bored at home. When he heard that Xiao Lulang had come over, he laughed and ordered him to come in. Now he had someone whom he could tease for fun. However, Xiao Lulang ran into Zhao Ming when he was at Zhao Guanghua's place. Xiao Lulang was shocked by her looks. Zhao Ming saw him as well. She felt flattered to have fascinated a dumb man like him. She smiled at him purposefully and left. Zhao Ming's smile made Xiao Lulang's head buzz. He was totally distracted, and after a few moments he became really happy. The elder miss of the Zhao family smiled at him. Did she fall for him? That must be it. Xiao Lulang couldn't stand the excitement arising inside his head. He almost burst out in laughter. Since Zhao Guanghua did not witness what happened, he wondered what was wrong with this man. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, as well as their family, arrived in the province before the day turned dark. It was an early winter day, and they eventually managed to go through the gate before it closed. Chu Shan drove them to the hotel where they had lived last time. Yuejing Xiao had already booked the room for them. They thanked Chu Shan and checked in. It was a quiet night. Early the next morning, Yuejing Xiao and Xie Jingrong came to visit them together. They had a chat in a very bustling, lively atmosphere. Yue Xiao and Xie Jingrong thanked them for the presents which they brought along. Those included some sun-dried mushrooms and creeping figs. They did not have any bergamots anymore since Yue Xiao already took everything away last time he was at their place. All kinds of dried mushrooms were fine, and jelly was still a new product. As expected, Yue Xiao liked it very much. Last time when he brought some fresh ones back, Yue Xiao specially gave them to his mother and sister-in-law. Xie Jingrong also ordered someone to make jelly, added various chopped nuts or fresh fruits and a little crushed ice. The ladies in the family loved it, asking him when he would be able to bring some more back. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had a few with them this time. The gathering took place after 2 days and it would last for 3 days in a row. Xie Jingrong told Xiao Yunduan about some important figures as well as the whole process and the regulations. Yue Xiao was not interested in what was happening between scholars, so he started to talk about lipsticks and dessert stores with Xiao Xian instead. They had no flowers for lipsticks right now, so Yue Xiao decided to release the lipsticks which they had in stock regularly so they could stretch it out until the new ones arrived. Xiao Xian gave him 500 lip balms to fill the shortage of lipsticks. Yue Xiao planned to customize some crystal, jade, gold and silver lipstick tubes inlaid with gemstones. Rare things were more expensive and he would try to sell them at high prices. He wondered if Xiao Xian would agree to that. Xiao Xian was shocked. The Yue family was indeed a wealthy business family with not only a huge background, but also ideas and abilities. Some very wealthy ladies would expect their things to stand out from the ordinary ones. Chapter 397, Limited version. The crystal and jade lipstick tubes would not cost a lot more than the current cost, but the price could definitely increase by more than 100 times. Also, they did not need to have many tubes like this, more than a dozen sets would be enough. That sounds great. In this way we can make more money and satisfy what the noble ladies and madams like. That is like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Xiao Xian nodded in agreement. Yue Xiao struck his thigh and smiled. That is true. Exactly what I think. Xiao Xian thought for a while and said, how about this? Next year there will be a set of 12 beauties limited edition lipsticks. The 12 beauties each correspond to a kind of flower for 12 months. The lipstick tubes will represent spring, summer, autumn and winter, which will be made of emerald, carnelian, gold and crystal respectively. The tube will be carved with patterns of beauties and flowers, inlaid with various pearls and gemstones. 3 pieces will be released in 1 season, and the whole set can be collected in 1 year. 3 packs can be sold at one go, and more effort should be made on the packaging. We can draw patterns and ask famous artists to sell them. You must make sure that it is exquisitely made. As for the price, I'm not an expert on it, so it's fine for you to decide. Yue Xiao's eyes sparkled when he heard the idea. He patted the table in delight. That is a great thought. We are definitely going to do this. Let's release a set of 12 beauties, limited edition first, then I'll find someone to figure out a more elaborate idea later. After that, we can launch some other series. Think about it slowly. This way we're going to earn a lot of money. At that time, after deducting the cost, we will share the profit equally. Yue Xiao already had an idea about the pricing. He decided to sell the lipsticks with cost included at more than 3,000 liang for 1 lipstick. Since it was a limited version, he would at most produce 10 sets so they could look rare. He was sure that they would be very well received. They did not need to worry about not being able to sell them. 10 sets for the 12 beauty series with 12 lipsticks for 1 set would earn them so much. The 2 money lovers started to discuss the plan in detail. They did not stop until it was time for lunch. Xie Jingrong had already booked the restaurant and they all headed there. Inside the elegant room, Xiao Yunduan was shocked hearing what Yue Xiao said about the limited version of lipsticks. Xie Jingrong spoke highly of the idea when he heard about it. 12 beauties and 12 famous flowers would be drawn by famous artists, and the outer tubes would be made by famous craftsmen. The gold, jade and crystals corresponded to the 4 seasons. They were luxurious and elegant enough, and will work perfectly as limited versions. Rare things were always more expensive and they would definitely be sold. A few thousand liang was nothing in rich people's eyes. After all, real rich people had so much money to spend that it simply could not finish. Hearing that it was Xiao Xian's idea, Xie Jingrong could not help but look at this girl with admiration. The county magistrate was totally blind to alienate and dislike this daughter of his. If he had treated her well and taken her as an advisor, he would have been promoted and made a fortune and fame long ago instead of trying to stick up to powerful and rich people in this humiliating way. Xiao Yunduan was a learned man, but he just could not believe that someone would spend this much money upon buying one lipstick like that. It sounded ridiculous. But Xiao Yunduan could not help but feel emotional when he saw how confident Xie Jingrong and Yue Jingxiao were when they talked about selling these lipsticks. He simply could not understand what was up with rich people. Chapter 398. Dessert store. Eating mutton in winter was the most warming and nourishing feeling. Today's several big dishes were all mutton, including roasted leg of lamb, braised lamb chops, braised mutton with radish, steamed mutton with powder, and mutton in a dry pot. They were all served straight out of the pot. The chefs at the restaurants were pretty good at cooking. Yue Jingxiao could not help but talk about the dessert stores during lunchtime. Qiao Xian told him that they already bought the land for opening and they could plant the creeping figs in spring and harvest them in autumn. There were many creeping figs this year, and the sun-dried ones should weigh over 50 kilograms. But those were not enough to open a dessert store. They needed to have at least 3 or 5 stores in the province so that they could acquire the market as soon as possible and earn money. One store would earn too little profit. They could not just sell jelly and needed to offer something more as well. This ice powder jelly could not be copied by others. Other things such as sugar taro seedlings, mung bean paste, lily lotus seed and almond soup, bean curd and bean brain, were easy to learn as long as others saw them. So, they needed to take over the market right at the beginning so all the tastes could be showcased well, and could stand firmly and for a long duration. They did not need to open the store as of this moment, but they could start the preparations until all was set and ready to go. Qiao Xian also mentioned raising cows, and she wondered if the cows could be bred because milk could lead to making many other interesting dishes as well. Taking advantage of the trend, she also mentioned sago, cassava, and papaya available in the south. If they could find those, the whole thing would get much better. Yue Jingxiao and Xie Jingrong were both shocked. This was far more than jelly. They were even thinking about raising cows? What was sago rice? Cassava? They never heard about these things. They had heard of papaya but never saw it before. Yue Jingxiao gave Qiao Xian an admiring look as he sighed. You have such vast knowledge. Everything sounds so good. Draw me some pictures so I can try this with my elder brother. As long as we have them on this land, we will definitely find them. His elder brother had befriended many wandering people as a businessman. Although they were not very close friends, they could offer some help to find the stuff they needed. Qiao Xian smiled. Yes, I also read some sayings in a book about foreign countries. The sago and cassava should come from the west, and most of them have to go to the south to find them. Yue Jingxiao nodded. I will speak with my brother. He smiled as he looked at Xie Jingrong. We do have cows. Their family happened to have a small ranch and they raised some cows there. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan turned to Xie Jingrong. Xie Jingrong smiled. My grandfather and grandmother like milk, so the family specially raised a few cows which were easy to handle. Soon I will take over this pasture and expand it to raise a few more cows. 20 or 30 should be enough. Qiao Xian didn't know if that was enough, but how many cows could be raised on a ranch needed to be calculated by experience or in a scientific way, not as per their wish. Qiao Xian smiled and nodded. 20 and 30 should be enough. Let's see how the store business goes. Yue Jingxiao smiled happily. The business should be good. They talked for a few minutes before leaving. It was quite late in the day. Chapter 399. Yue Jingting. Again, it was slightly cold in the province, and both Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan did not have many clothes with them. So, they went to buy a few more warm clothes on the way which Qi and Tao Tao could bring back to the hotel, whilst they went to a few bookstores and returned a little later. They had a quick dinner at the hotel and stayed there until the next day. Xiao Yunduan was getting ready to attend the gathering these days, and was reading a few poetry collections as part of the preparations. He was definitely going to be asked to make some poems at the gathering, though that was not the theme of the gathering this year. Qiao Xian, Qi and Tao Tao chose to go out and have a tour around. Qiao Xian was still thinking about precious plants, but she had not told Yue Jingxiao about this idea yet. She decided to try her own luck first. She also wanted to buy a few things for home as well. Xiao Yunduan could not keep her company, so he stressed to Xiao Xiaoqi that he should take good care of his sister-in-law and sister. After the gathering, I will go out with you to far-off places. When you are by yourself, you should only visit bustling localities, not those isolated areas, alright? We don't speak the same dialect as people here, and we are outsiders who might be bullied. Especially those outsiders who did not have any servants with them. Xiao Xiaoqi and Tao Tao turned serious and nodded in agreement. Qiao Xian's heart also skipped a beat. They were not living in the modern society with high legal security, and they should definitely be careful out there. The three of them rented the wagon recommended by the manager of the hotel, and instructed the coachman to take them to many popular places. They even paid extra for the security. They visited some street stands and bought a few things. The three of them happened to be around Yanqi restaurant around lunchtime, which was a very famous restaurant for its southern dishes, especially Suzhou cuisine. They had wanted to have a taste at this place last time, but they failed to eat there due to the tight schedule. They happened to be around here at lunchtime, probably because it was destiny that took them here. Qiao Xian and Tao Tao got off the wagon and smiled at Qi. You can go and fetch your brother while we will go in and place the order. Xiao Xiaoqi agreed and urged the coachman to hurry away. Yanqi restaurant was one of the biggest restaurants in the province, so Qiao Xian and Tao Tao should be safe here. Yanqi restaurant was very popular, and when Xiao Xian and Xiao Tao Tao went to the elegant room, there was only one room left. She booked without hesitation as she said to Tao Tao, "We are lucky enough to have found one at this hour." Xiao Tao Tao chuckled and nodded. "Yeah." At this moment a group of people walked in. It included 4 beautiful and young ladies accompanied by a few maids. They needed an elegant room. The manager was quite embarrassed as he said with a smile, "Sorry, the last elegant room has been booked by a lady a while ago, maybe you can come back later and we will save one for you." The lady who asked for the elegant room turned to Qiao Xian with a smile. "Lady, you only have 2 people but we have so many, can you spare the elegant room for us? I can compensate you with 1 liang." Qiao Xian, this lady looked very arrogant. She seemed quite friendly but as a matter of fact she was rude to her face. Most importantly this lady did not recognize her but Qiao Xian did. Even Tao Tao exchanged a surprised look with Qiao Xian. She had recognized her too. It was Yuezhing Ting, Yuezhing Xiao's cousin. Qiao Xian did not care if she recognized herself. They were just irrelevant people in her eyes, and it was not so strange that she did not recognize her. Chapter 400. Rejection. Xiao Xian did not mention that they had met, nor did she say that she knew her cousin Yuezhing Xiao well. "I am sorry miss but we are a group of more than 2 people. Also we arrived here first to book the room. We live outside the province and can barely visit here. So, we really want to eat at Yanqi restaurant. But miss, you seem to be a local, what about coming here next time?" Yuezhing Ting was not a mild-tempered person, but she was in public and had her friends with her. Thus she had to act as if she were very generous and elegant. She thought that she had been kind enough to offer compensation, but this lady turned her down bluntly. Yuezhing Ting could not embarrass herself in front of others and said with a good smile, "Lady, we also want to eat the good dishes here today. How about I offer you 3 liang? You can eat a sumptuous meal at some other place with these 3 liang, no?" Yuezhing Ting felt so distressed. 3 liang was already a huge amount, enough for her to try different sun-dried fruits. Qiao Xian really looked down at her. If she wanted to drive her away with money, at least 10 to 20 liang should have been the starting price. Yanqi restaurant's elegant rooms were very expensive to book. In that light, 1 or 3 liang were so stingy as a compensation. If she was so miserly then she did not have to put on the show. It was so embarrassing. Had Yuezhing Ting and Yuezhing Xiao been in a good relationship, Xiao Xian would have definitely helped. But Yuezhing Xiao and Yuezhing Ting were not in a harmonious relationship, and Xiao Xian would not just let this opportunity go. "Sorry Mississippi. Can you please try this offer with some other guests?" Yuezhing Ting got so furious, which is why her maid Jiang went forward and said, "Hey, don't be so greedy. Our miss already offers you a generous offer, what more do you want?" Xiao Xian glanced at her and smiled with politeness. "I just want to have a quiet lunch." "You." A girl in a rosy and patterned coat chuckled as she squinted at Yuezhing Ting. "Ting, you are really not generous enough. 1 or 3 liang is too little to offer, you are so rich that you can offer more." The Yuezhing family were rich enough to offer more, but she must be doing it on purpose because she did not want to treat them with a true heart. Yuezhing Ting glared at the maid and then at Xiao Xian. She spoke in a very annoyed voice with her teeth clenched. "I will give you 10 liang and you can choose another dining place." Xiao Xian said to the manager, "Mr. Manager, I am going upstairs. When my husband and my brother-in-law arrive, please direct them to our elegant room." Having said that, Xiao Xian left with Xiao Tao Tao. Yuezhing Ting's face flushed. She was both embarrassed and angry. Another lady wearing a lavender dress frowned as she said lightly, "I just thought of something. I'm off, let's set another day for lunch." Before Yue Ting could say anything, the girl left and the other girls followed up soon after. Yue Ting turned pale and felt humiliated. The girl in lavender dress was Xie Ruifeng, the lineal daughter of the third section of the family of the Xie family. Yue Ting ran into Xie Ruifeng and her cousin He Jiqing, and was trying to suck up to them. They were just talking about the dishes of Yanqi restaurant, so she vividly offered to take them to this restaurant for the exaggeratedly praised dishes. Chapter 401. Angry. The Xie family was a wealthy family with very strict rules for their children. They did not lack drinks or clothes, but they barely had any pocket money. There were special funds for buying clothes, jewelry, rouge and gouache, and the elders would give rewards during the New Year's Day or occasionally at other times, but if they wanted to go out and eat, they might not have too much money in hand. Especially when it comes to a place like Yanqi restaurant. Southern dishes were always exquisitely made and an ordinary banquet would cost 20 liang at least. Upper-class table would cost more than 100 liang. If liquor and other drinks were added, the price could be much higher. Xie Ruifeng and He Jiqing had not been here before, so they were quite attracted to take up the offer. Yue Ting became happy about that. Although it might cost her some money if she could befriend the lineal daughter of the Xie family, it would be worth the while. Therefore, even if she ran into Wen Qingyuan from the Wen family, the girl in the rose dress, whom she did not like much, Yue Ting did not turn her down. All Xie Ruifeng needed to remember was who paid for the meal. However, there were no available elegant rooms left at Yanqi restaurant, which was beyond her expectation. What irritated her was that the last elegant room was taken from her just one step ahead of time, and this woman who took the room did not want to accept compensation for giving up the room. How dare she? She had been filled with hope before she came here, but now everyone was disappointed. She could imagine what Xie Ruifeng would think of her. She would have a terrible impression about her. When Qingyuan, that bitch, also left with Xie Ruifeng, and she was surely going to badmouth her behind her back. He Jiqing chuckled and said to Yue Ting in a gentle voice, "I seem to have seen 2 women eating with your third cousin the other day. There were 2 other men with them that day, probably her husband and brother-in-law? It seems that they should be in a good relationship with your family. How could they fail to recognize you as the second miss of the Yue family?" He Jiqing smiled and said gently, "Or maybe I saw it wrong. If you check with her about it, don't tell her that it came from me." She smiled and then turned around, leaving. Yue Ting's face changed while she stood there with eyes wide open. She suddenly thought of something as she said to Jiang with clenched teeth, "You remember the third cousin and young Master Xie eating at the restaurant? There was a family with 4 people, right? Is it them?" Jiang was startled and then showed an enlightened look. "You are right, miss, it was them. I remember it now." "Good." Yue Ting got even more furious and sneered. "They must have recognized me and were playing with me. I am going to teach them a lesson." Yue Ting rushed upstairs in fury. Xiao Xian and Xiao Taotao had just sat down when Yue Ting rushed in as she pushed the door open. She pointed at Xiao Xian furiously. "My third cousin treats you as friends, but you dare trick me like this. I will tell him so he can teach you a lesson." Yue Ting stopped pretending to be an elegant lady when no one was watching. But she had not thought of Xiao Xian and Tao Tao's names, so the impact of her accusation was largely reduced. Chapter 402. Payment. Xiao Xian raised her eyebrows. "Sorry, Lady Yue, but I booked the elegant room first and I don't want to give it away to you. What is the problem?" She gave Yanqi restaurant a thumb up for not sucking up to the rich. No wonder the restaurant was so popular. Yue Ting sneered. Good, then tell me your name so I will tell my third cousin about it. From today onwards, you will never have the chance to speak with him or get anything beneficial from our family." The Yue family were very famous in the province, and Yue Ting assumed that Xiao Xian was trying to suck up to the Yue family. A small portion of money from them would feed this poor family well for the rest of their lives. Startled, Tao Tao was so confused, not knowing how to react. What was wrong with this lady from the Yue family? How could she be so strange? Young Master Yue was in a business relationship with her brother and sister-in-law, and young Master Yue kept telling them that he was so lucky to meet them. Since when did her brother and sister-in-law try to suck up to the Yue family? Where did Lady Yue hear about this rumor? Tao Tao did not like to be misjudged. She could not help but speak up. "Sorry, Lady Yue, but you have misunderstood us. We have never taken anything good from your family, and my brother and sister-in-law's relationship with young Master Yue is totally fair and straight." How dare you say fair and straight? Yue Jingting sneered. You want to tell me your names? Qiao Xian pinched Tao Tao's wrist and looked at Yue Jingting. I don't think that is necessary. How about asking your third cousin yourself if you want to know our names? Yue Jingting got so annoyed that she said, Okay, you are very bold. Let's wait and see what you have to pay for your rudeness. Yue Jingting glared at Qiao Xian and left in a fury. Tao Tao got a little anxious, asking, Fifth sister-in-law, is this okay? Lady Yue Jing is young Master Yuzhang's cousin, after all. Qiao Xian was amused. Don't worry, think about our own cousins. If they irritate our friends and get driven away by our friends, will you be mad at our friends? Of course not. Xiao Tao Tao burst out and felt a little embarrassed. Qiao Xian smiled. Not so worried anymore? Xiao Tao Tao nodded and said involuntarily, Why are cousins always so annoying? Qiao Xian laughed. That's a good question. Soon the waiters came in and the two of them started to order. Qiao Xian ordered classic southern dishes such as squirrel mandarin fish, stewed meatballs, braised eels, crystal meat, braised pork and baihua wine, pingqiao tofu, and boiled dried shredded rice. She hadn't tasted authentic Jiangnan cuisine since she came here, and wondered if Yanqi restaurant would be a disappointment or not. The food would cost over 30 liang, but that was worth the while if the taste was authentic. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xiaoqi arrived after the two girls had waited for a while. Qiao Xian smiled brightly at Xiao Yunduan. I heard that the restaurant serves authentic southern dishes. Let's just have a try. Xiao Yunduan smiled gently. There are many restaurants in the province that are worth trying out. We will visit them one by one. Chapter 403, Yue Jingting's Tears. Okay, sounds good. Qiao Xian smiled. Neither she nor Tao Tao mentioned the conflict with Yue Jingting to Xiao Yunduan and Qi. That would just make the atmosphere worse. The Yanqi restaurant was expensive for a reason. The dishes were very well made, authentic, and the four of them were very satisfied. At the Yue Jing family's mansion, the atmosphere was very strange. Yue Jingting was crying to her mother, Ms. Mi, about what happened during the day. I managed to get the girl of the Xia family to join me for lunch, but I was so humiliated. Those two girls must have recognized me but still humiliated me on purpose. They are in a good relationship with the third cousin and must have heard something from him, thus treating me like this. How did they manage to befriend third cousin so they could humiliate me like this just to suck up to him? Will he make them rich? I won't let this go. Third cousin is bullying me. Mom, you have to help me. Those two countryside women have bullied me too. Ms. Mi got so angry, but she took a deep breath and caressed Yue Jingting and said, It is okay. I will ask him when he comes back what he means. How can he befriend some filthy people to bully his own cousin? How dare he? Yue Jingting cried even more fiercely. Mom, I want him to help me get to know the Xia family, or I will never leave him alone. Okay, don't worry. Yue Jingxiao returned home and was summoned to his second aunt's place by the maid. He raised his eyebrows, feeling surprised. Still he went there. Seeing Yue Jingting there with a pair of red eyes as if she had been bullied, Yue Jingxiao felt even more confused. She gave him an annoyed look which made him think about the previous instance. What are these two women thinking about doing again? Still planning to pester me? He could give one lipstick of each color to them as presents, but not for them to use as favors. Ms. Mi smiled. Nephew, who have you befriended these days? You are the young master of the Yue Jing family, and we are a famous family who should not befriend those filthy and unimportant people. You need to stay away from those lowly, unruly folks so they wouldn't bully our family. Otherwise it would turn us into a laughing stock. Yue Jingxiao. I don't understand what second aunt is talking about. You can put it straightforwardly if you want to. Yue Jingting could not help but retort. Third cousin, I met the two women of that family whom you and young Master Xia ate a meal with. The two women bullied me today. They knew that I was your cousin, but they still humiliated me in public. Yue Jingxiao's face turned serious. Was Yue Jingting talking about Mrs. Xiao and Tao Tao? They were definitely not like that. What happened? Ms. Mi asked him instead. Who are those two women? Where are they from? How did you get to know them? Maybe we have conducted business with them? Yue Jingxiao knew that Ms. Mi was trying to cause trouble. He kept his connection a secret and said, They don't have any business with us. Just with him. We are just ordinary friends. Cousin, how about telling me what is really going on? Ms. Mi snorted and pursed her lips. Chapter 404. For real, Yue Ting said, I, along with fourth miss and her cousin from the Xie family, went to Yanqi restaurant for lunch. There was only one elegant room left. I asked the two ladies politely, but they not only countered me but also stole the elegant room from us. I was humiliated in front of the two cousins at the Xie family. How could they do something like that? They are sucking up to you and taking things from us but humiliating me in front of everyone. Ms. Mi added. They humiliated the Xie family as well and offended them for no reason. Nephew, I suggest you stop hanging out with them lest you get stuck with them and offend other people. Countryside people are so rude. Yue Xiao said, Yanqi restaurant? As far as I know, Yanqi restaurant is a restaurant that sticks to rules. They offer rooms to those who arrive first, with no exception. They must have booked the elegant room in front of you, right? Yue Ting, this is a simple matter. I can ask Yanqi restaurant about it. I know that the manager and the waiters should know about what happened. Yue Ting could not lie any more and said angrily, they were just a step earlier than us and were talking with the manager. They had not even booked the room. Half a step earlier is still earlier than you, otherwise the manager of the Yanqi restaurant would not have given the room to them. They did not bully you. Yue Xiao, are you a part of our family? Ms. Mi got furious. 1 or 2 steps earlier is nothing. They embarrassed us. They are your friends and are making money through us, but they dared to humiliate the missus from the Yue familio. Honestly, what made them so bold? We just need to talk. Yue Xiao sounded cold. Also, you are wrong, second aunt. They are not making money through us and we never force people to do anything. Ms. Mi got furious. So it was Ting's fault? Looks like it. Good, you must be feeling very proud to have bullied us from the second section of the family for not having a very successful businessman, right? Yue Xiao was surprised. Second aunt, I don't agree with what you said. We are simply discussing this matter. You are a bully if you try to push other people. Also, I think that second, fourth and fifth cousin are all excellent men. Why are they considered unsuccessful? Fifth cousin reads well and my father used to speak highly of them, so did my second uncle. Just get out of here. Miss face changed as she shouted at him hysterically. Yue Xiao got up and greeted her politely. Goodbye, second aunt. He had just walked out of the room, when Yue Xiao heard Ms. Millis furious shouting and scolding as well as the sound of china smashing. He snorted and left leisurely. This second aunt of his really loved to make a scene. She was greedy, stupid, narrow-minded, and suspicious. She was domineering towards her subordinates, flattering her superiors. Now she had nothing else to do except curry favor with Madame Yue. She could not give birth to a son, but refused to treat the second, fourth and fifth cousin well. She kept changing the way of tormenting them. His own mother had the vision of protecting the 3 cousins so that even now they also had a very good relationship with the 2 cousins. The second cousin accompanied them in business dealings and they helped each other often. Chapter 405. Working harder that made his second uncle feel very satisfied as well, so when his second aunt tried to turn them against each other, she inevitably failed. That was why he quit the family business. When he quit the family business, second uncle felt even more satisfied and the family would get more stable and his mother felt more assured taking care of his father in town. His fifth cousin was very smart. He had been reading a lot since he was young, so the family decided to train him to work for the government. But for some reason, the second aunt was worried that when the fifth cousin became an officer, his mother, Concubine Min's position would be raised. So she got Concubine Min killed first. Though there was no direct evidence, people were well aware of the fact. Fifth cousin was not too young at the time and he remembered it. For that, he would probably get second aunt killed when he reached a high position in the government. How dare she scold him like this right now? She was so stupid. Yue Xiao thought for a while and decided to visit Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian at the hotel in the afternoon. Yue Ting had offended his friends and he needed to express his stance. Xiao Xian had not intended to tell Xiao Yunduan about this, but now the secret was revealed. She heard him speak a few words and said to Yue Xiao, Lady Yue was quite rude at the very beginning, so I did not give away the elegant room to her, is that okay? Yue Xiao laughed. Sure. The first one there gets it first, just ignore her. Xiao Xian smiled. Thanks. Speaking of this, Yue Xiao decided to have a friendly get-together after the scholars' gathering. He also stressed before leaving that he would offer any help if needed. When he was gone, Xiao Yunduan looked at Xiao Xian. You are fine, right? Why didn't you tell me about it? He was a bit unhappy to hear that his wife had been bullied and that he knew nothing about it. Xiao Xiaoqi and Tao Tao exchanged a look and left the room quietly. Their instinct told them that they should leave the room at the moment. Feeling her heart warm up, Xiao Xian blushed a little when being stared at by his scorching look. She just felt a bit sad to see his hands withdrawing, when they were almost about to reach hers. I am fine, I just thought that I didn't need to bother you about it. She did not want to get humiliated in front of the public, so she would not have done anything extreme. The Yuezhing family are a rich family and they have a large network with many contacts around. Lady Yuezhing must be spoiled enough not to be used to this situation. What if she does something terrible in secret to you? Just tell me if something strange happens in the future, okay? Xiao Yunduan knew that it was because he was not strong enough so many things like this happened. Otherwise he would have gone back to Yuezhing Ting to demand an explanation. He was a man who could read, and passing the imperial examination was the only way to make him stronger. He needed to work harder. Xiao Xian felt her heart turn soft. She looked up and smiled at him with a pair of sparkling eyes. Okay, I got it. I will not keep anything from you ever again, okay? Xiao Yunduan nodded and his heart started to beat nervously. As long as I am here, no one will ever bully you. Okay, I know. Xiao Yunduan smiled. Good, do remember that in mind. The couple looked at each other, feeling their hearts turning warm. Xiao Yunduan did not tell her how he felt for her because he was not qualified enough at the moment to do so. Xiao Xian was not anxious to hear what she wanted to hear. He had only her and he only cared about her. Chapter 406. Sensing something on the day of the gathering, Yuezhing Xiao got a wagon to drive Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xiaoqi to the venue. Xie Jingrong would be present there too. He was going to keep an eye on Xiao Yunduan secretly rather than stay by his side. Xiao Xian and Tao Tao decided to take this opportunity to travel around the town. They wanted to buy a lot of things to plant for the dessert stores, and also needed raw materials for the lipsticks and extract essence. Xiao Xian was going to do business outside the county. Now that they had come here, they were going to stroll around the place, while enjoying the scenery to see what they could possibly run into so that they would not miss anything. She had a lot of savings. If she could buy a piece of land in the outskirts of the province or somewhere far away from home, she would benefit a lot from that purchase as well. There would be a great deal for them. The two girls rented the wagon which they had rented before. According to the coachman, there was a beautiful site several kilometers away from the center, so that was where they headed towards. They asked the coachman to wait at the site, whilst Xiao Xian and Tao Tao took a look around the place. They seemed as if they were just idling around, yet with Xiao Xian's superpower she was trying to pick the place where the plants could grow well and in large clusters. Tao Tao was a bit unsure. She glanced around and whispered to Xiao Xian. Fifth sister-in-law, are we safe here? Let's just take a walk in the close-by area only, okay? Xiao Xian chuckled inside her heart. She was not afraid of any danger here. She could receive a lot of help from the plants. One bad guy and she would make those plants help her out quite effectively. Don't worry, we are in the outskirts of the province, it is very safe here. There are many villages and abbeys here, no one would dare to do anything to us. Tao Tao trusted her fifth sister-in-law deeply, so when she heard what she said, she nodded and smiled with a kind of embarrassment. Oh, in that case I am assured. They were walking when Xiao Xian suddenly turned to the eastern side. She had a sense that beyond this stream, through that patch of forest, there was something summoning her, or rather her space. The space had not been this eager before. It was craving for something badly. Something extremely good must be present on the other side. Motivated, Xiao Xian took Tao Tao to walk eastwards. They walked through the woods and saw an abbey. The tall black brick wall separated the inside from the outer area, only some tall trees protruded from the wall with thick branches. Looking up they could faintly see the black root ridge and raised cornices. Xiao Xian was a bit confused. The good things were inside the abbey that belonged to someone else. She had no idea who owned the abbey, and she wondered what kind of people were inside the abbey. They could not just go inside abruptly. They needed to be prepared before going in. She knew how to behave properly. Let's leave. Xiao Xian was not regretful. She bore this place in mind and would try to find out the owner of the abbey after they went back to the center. Hearing Xiao Xian sighing, Tao Tao assumed that it was because they could not continue since the abbey belonged to someone else. She consoled her. Let's turn to another path. They had just walked a few meters when they ran into a middle-aged maid and a young maid, who were walking towards them accompanying a plainly dressed middle-aged madam. The madam looked tall with a long and thin face. She looked ill and seemed to have a preoccupied mind. She was walking with her head lowered with the help of the middle-aged maid. Chapter 407. Encounter with First Madam. The woman maid held a basket with a lid, and the three of them were not talking. Seeing that, Xiao Xian and Tao Tao made way for them to pass through. 2 meters away from them, the woman swayed and then collapsed with her eyes closed. The middle-aged maid and young maid cried out together as they helped the madam up. First Madam, please, First Madam. First Madam, wake up, please wake up. Xiao Xian and Tao Tao went up to help them without any hesitation. But they did not know how to cure sick people. Auntie, should you take the lady into the city for a medical checkup? We have a wagon and we can take you there. The maid looked up and saw Tao Tao and Xiao Xian. She forced a smile and said, "It is fine, but could you help us to carry her back to our abbey?" The maid clearly knew that First Madam was distressed mentally, and that's why she became sick. She was in a bad mood, thus passing out. It was not that she had any disease. She was disturbed in her heart and needed to get that problem cured from the root, otherwise she would not be able to recover. Xiao Xian and Tao Tao nodded. Together with the middle-aged maid, they helped the madam back to the abbey, which happened to be the place Tao Tao and Xiao Xian had intended to go to a while ago. As they went into the abbey, the servants came with a chair and carried their First Madam back to the room. The middle-aged maid asked the housekeeper to take Xiao Xian and Tao Tao to the hall. She apologized to them before heading back to First Madam to see how she was doing. The medical pills were slowly dissolving inside warm water. Auntie Hua ordered the other maids to get First Madam to lean against the chair, as she fed the medicine into her mouth. Gradually, First Madam opened her eyes. The abbey wasn't very big, yet it was quiet and neat. Looking out from the window of the flower hall, they could see the corridor pavilion, rockery and lake stones among the flowers and trees. The trees were lush and green and everything was very neat. The maid served them tea and pastry and stood quietly by the doorstep. Tao Tao was feeling uneasy. She had not expected that they would run into such a beautiful abbey. She looked at her sister-in-law who looked very serene, so she tried to calm herself down too. But what she did not know was that Xiao Xian was not feeling calm at all. Her space was getting agitated and she knew where the good thing should be, yet she just could not touch it directly. Such a feeling sucked. Xiao Xian and Tao Tao would have left by now but for her curiosity towards that unknown thing. She did not need to stay to seek favor or attempt to establish a friendship with this family, since all they did was to help carry the woman home. But that unknown piece of treasure was tormenting her mind so much that she really wanted to see what it was. Auntie Hua came before Xiao Xian and Tao Tao waited for too long. Thank you for your help today. Our First Madam would like to meet you to express her gratitude, but she is too sick to come over. She has asked me to thank you. Auntie Hua bowed to Xiao Xian and Tao Tao, as she offered a palm-sized brocade box in orange color. She said with a smile, "It is already lunchtime, why not stay for lunch here at the abbey?" Chapter 408. Treasure. Xiao Xian turned down the brocade box. "It is just a small favor, we cannot accept such a big present. If it is okay with you, we would like to have lunch here." Startled, Auntie Hua smiled. "That is totally okay, please stay for lunch. This present? Just put it away, we can't accept it." Xiao Xian just could not accept such a large present just because she did a small favor for them. Seeing her resolute attitude, Auntie Hua did not insist, but exchanged names between each other so they could be served lunch soon. Xiao Xian could not give up the chance of taking a walk around and begged the maid, "Auntie Hua, can we take a walk around this garden? It looks so beautiful." It might be a little rude for them to make a proposal like this just because they had done them a small favor. Slightly surprised, Auntie Hua did not expect that a properly behaved woman like Xiao Xian would propose something like this. Despite her slight displeasure, Auntie Hua nodded with a smile. "Sure, just walk around as you wish but don't go too far." "Thank you." Xiao Xian smiled and thanked her. Tao Tao thought that her sister-in-law was really interested in the landscape in the garden, so she was also very glad to have a chance to take a look around this beautiful garden. The two girls walked into the garden. Xiao Xian had a predetermined goal in her mind. She simply followed the direction the space was summoning her to. Soon they came to the deep side of the garden. Then she was shocked. She was totally taken aback, facing the patch of woods in front of her. Tao Tao could not help but breathe. "It smells so good, what are these trees? They are giving off such a nice scent." Xiao Xian, of course there was a great smell. The forest was not large but there was so much sandalwood, which was emitting the fragrance. The trees were very well trimmed despite the size. Some large trees would be as old as 40 years. Qiao Xian did not recognize the trees, but she could sense that there was a smell of sandalwood. But she could also sense that the forest was filled with precious trees. That was because her space had turned desperate for them. If she was more knowledgeable, she would be even more shocked, because the trees included sandalwood, yellow rosewood, lobular Venus red sandalwood, golden phoebe, camphor tree, purple camphor tree, cold-scented tree and more. The owner of the abbey apparently loved those precious woods, so they had this patch filled with trees many years ago. These were huge trees. Qiao Xian could not help but walk into the trees, when she saw a very tall, sky-piercing tree. But she could not just take them. She wanted to get a few twigs but she failed to reach them. She needed to walk up to the tree to get them. Qiao Xian struggled for a while, but didn't ask Tao Tao to climb the tree together. It would be embarrassing if people in the abbey saw it, especially after they were received so warmly. If she did this, it would be too disrespectful and unsuitable. Qiao Xian thought and decided to ask Andy Hua to get 2 twigs for them. Small ones would do too. As long as these twigs went into space, with the blessing of magical power, the space would be full of vitality. The small branches could take root and grow vigorously. Chapter 409. Repair the trees from all over the country were all gathered here, which was not a very easy thing to achieve. The owner must have spent a lot of money and energy on this project. They were all precious things and the owner might not be willing to share anything with her. But she could give it a try. Sister-in-law, look, someone is there. Tao Tao tugged at Qiao Xian's sleeves as she pointed at a place not far away. The forest was not shadowed by any bushes or weeds but the trees were flourishing and they were not able to see everything at one glance, unless she used her superpower. Following Tao Tao's direction, Qiao Xian looked through the trees and saw a gray-haired man sitting on a wheelchair, with his back facing her. Qiao Xian felt a bit lucky for not having climbed up the tree, otherwise she would have been seen and caused embarrassment. She did not dodge that man and said to Tao Tao, "Maybe he is the owner. Let's go and speak with him." The 2 girls walked up and saw that the middle-aged man looked very skinny and sick. His cheekbones stood out and his hair had turned gray. "Hello." Qiao Xian stopped the moment she started to speak. The middle-aged man's head was tilting to one side, his eyes were tightly closed and hands drooping. He had apparently passed out. "Fifth sister-in-law, don't be scared." Qiao Xian was surprised too, thinking what kind of luck she had to run into 2 such people. She stepped forward quickly. She reached out for the man's pulse. The middle-aged man was wearing a robe in a dark brown color with golden lines. The wheelchair was made of rosewood, which she realized only when they got closer. It could be seen that even if he was not the owner of this place, he was definitely a master with status. Qiao Xian could not leave the man here like this. What if he was dead? Then how should she tell others about it? She needed to check his pulse first so she could either stay here or fetch someone. Qiao Xian was startled again when she felt the pulse. The man seemed to have been poisoned, the muscles in his lower body were severely blocked. That was why he could not walk, and his chest and internal organs were also damaged to varying degrees. As long as he was alive, he must endure unbearable torture. Qiao Xian subconsciously activated her superpower. It flowed through her fingertips and poured into the middle-aged man's body. The small but endless, energetic superpower slowly opened up the territory in the man's body, washing away the blocked tendons and repairing the dilapidated damage wherever it passed by. Tao Tao, who was standing next to her, got so nervous that she wanted to burst out in tears as she saw the fainted man and the absent-minded sister-in-law of hers. What was wrong with this man? Why was her sister-in-law not reacting? What was this terrible situation? What should they do? Old master. Yuan got so surprised when he saw 2 strange women standing next to his old master. He walked up and pushed the wheelchair backwards. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Qiao Xian withdrew her move and said, "Sorry, mister. We were walking around when we ran into this place and this old master seems to have passed out, so we—" Yuan lowered his head and found that his old master had fainted. He let out a cry of surprise, ignored Qiao Xian and Tao Tao, and walked away in a hurry with the wheelchair. Chapter 410. For the time being, Yuan had just gone to the bathroom and something happened to the old master. His old master had to be all right. Qiao Xian, anyway, this person did not blame them for anything, which was already a comforting thing. Qiao Xian and Tao Tao were not in a mood to continue with the walk any longer. Also, Qiao Xian's purpose had already been achieved. Back to the hall, some maids laid out the table for them to have lunch. Qiao Xian asked about Auntie Hua, to which the woman maid said that Auntie Hua was in the middle of doing something so she could not be here. They were asked to eat lunch well. Qiao Xian suspected that the middle-aged man must be the owner of the abbey, and First Madame's husband. First Madame must have been taking care of her husband for a long time, so she collapsed out of tiredness. Qiao Xian could not help but feel sorry for them. Auntie Hua must be busy dealing with the old master, when she was working for the mistress. So, Qiao Xian did not ask anything more, but exchanged a few polite words, sat down and ate with Tao Tao. She could not mention asking for the twigs. She felt a bit sorry, but since she knew where those treasures were, she would find some ways to get them. She could ask Yuejing Xiao for help, right? The young maid in the abbey did not look down at Qiao Xian and Tao Tao just because they were plainly dressed or because they had never been here before. They were served with 6 dishes and 1 soup. The servants served them well. The reason why those servants were so well-mannered and did not judge people by their looks must be because their master and mistress had taught them so. It was a family with moralities. Qiao Xian could not help but develop a good feeling towards this family. She would not mind treating that old master if she had some opportunity in the future, in exchange for a few twigs from the precious trees. She was going to think of a good method to use the superpower without exposing her abilities or causing suspicion. After lunch, Qiao Xian and Tao Tao waved them goodbye. They took a walk around and went back to where the wagon was stationed, then they went back to the city together. It was almost 4 in the afternoon when the 2 girls arrived at the hotel. Xiao Yunduan and Qi had not yet returned as the evening touched down. They might not be able to come back for dinner. So, Qiao Xian and Tao Tao ate some simple dinner at the hotel rather than wait for them. Sure enough, when they returned, it was already dark outside. Xiao Yunduan had drunk some wine, and walked in with the help of Qi and Chushan. Luckily he still had a pair of bright eyes. He was not fully drunk. No one liked to take care of drunk people. Chushan did not leave directly after he helped Xiao Yunduan. Instead, he left after helping Xiao Yunduan wash up. Qiao Xian thanked Chushan and gave him a red packet containing 1 liang, and asked Qi to walk him out. Then she asked Qi about the gathering. Speaking of it, Xiao Xiaoqi could not help but tell Qiao Xian and Tao Tao the story vividly. It was a very bustling event. They made poetry and discussed articles. Everything looked lively. He could not understand it all, but he could still tell that there was competition in the happy place. Qiao Xian and Tao Tao showed concern about Xiao Yunduan, to which Xiao Xiaoqi said proudly, "Fifth brother is excellent." Everything spoke highly of his articles. Some people looked down at him initially, but when he made the articles, they were all convinced, especially when young Master Xie praised him as well. After that, everyone started to look at Fifth Brother in a different way. Chapter 411. Flashback. Tao Tao was very happy and laughed with pride. Qiao Xian felt proud on behalf of her husband too. That was what a celebrity could bring about. Her husband owed young Master Xie a huge favor. But young Master Xie never told lies. If he spoke highly of her husband, then her husband must be worth the praise. So, should she be hopeful for the autumn examination? The thought pleased Qiao Xian completely. It was the best news ever. The following day the 4 of them ate breakfast together. The gathering continued on this day. Xiao Yunduan did not get too drunk the night before, so he was already quite sober by this time. He even inquired about Qiao Xian and Tao Tao about where they went the day before. Qiao Xian did not mention the abbey, but only told him briefly about taking a tour outside the town. Xiao Yunduan was about to say something when Xiao Xian smiled. "Just very close to town, somewhere with many people around? We didn't or will not go too far." Xiao Yunduan smiled too and dropped his idea to nag her. "Don't travel too far." After breakfast, Xiao Yunduan and Qi went out, whilst Qiao Xian and Tao Tao stayed for a bit longer at the hostel and then stepped out for shopping. There were a few sites with beautiful landscapes that were worth visiting. At the abbey, old master, who was in a coma, woke up finally. The old master had been seriously injured in an accident before. His legs were crippled and other body functions were also damaged to some extent. Most of the time he lay down in a daze every day. Going into coma or experiencing occasional pains happened often. There were some occasions when he would feel better. Whenever he felt better and the day was nice, he would go out in the wheelchair, asking his servant to help him check the forest consisting of the precious trees that he had planted 30 years ago. When the old master woke up and saw his wife sitting by the bedside crying, he responded with a smile. You are still not used to this, are you? Madame forced a smile. Of course not. You have to get well, don't frighten me. She was not afraid of taking care of him, nor was she worried about keeping him company in this tedious abbey. She was just scared that he would pass out and never wake up one day. The doctor said that his body was already very weak, and his viscera had been severely damaged. These years he only relied on precious medicinal materials to continue his life. Despite that, it was still getting worse little by little. One day it would turn so bad that his body wouldn't be able to bear it any longer. At that point it would be the end of his life. But his wife did not dare to let him know about that. It was something that continuously pained her heart like a blade hanging over her head, which might drop any time. Especially during the past 1 year, he was getting worse and any small occasion would make her nervous. But despite the relapse that happened today, Old Master looked good and ate a lot more food during dinner and drank a more bowl of soup. Maybe I had been trapped indoors for too long, and today I am much better and feeling more energetic. His wife felt very nervous upon hearing the words. This should not have been the last moment before death, right? She forced a smile. Good that you are getting better, good. First Madame slept in the Old Master's room that night. She barely dared to close her eyes in case something happened. Chapter 412. Curious. Luckily, Old Master woke up in time the next day, and he seemed to have turned better than the day before. The doctor came to check on the Old Master today and was shocked. Old Master, Madam, did you consult another doctor? Or did he drink any medicine or get acupuncture or anything else? Huh? What? Both Old Master and Madam were confused. What do you mean, Dr. Tang? You are the only doctor who is taking care of his health, and he eats and takes medicine according to your instructions. No one else is involved. For real? Of course I am not joking about this. Madam said seriously. Dr. Tang said, Madam, please, I don't mean anything like this. It is just, I found that Old Master has turned much better than before. Dr. Tang gave a hard pinch on Old Master's left calf and said, Sorry. The Old Master let out a scream. It hurts. Madam stiffened, and Auntie Hua as well as everyone else all got very shocked. What are you saying, Old Master? Madam's voice shivered. It hurts. Dr. Tang, can't you be gentle, you? The Old Master finally realized what was going on. He stiffened too as he mumbled. Am I dreaming? Pinch me again now. He lost feelings for his legs ages ago, and a pinch or even a stab of knife would lead to no feelings at all. But Dr. Tang just pinched him and he felt the pain. He could not believe that it was real. Dr. Tang pinched him again. Ah, it hurts. Old Master inhaled and said, Dr. Tang, can't you be gentle? Everyone burst into laughter. Auntie Hua smiled and said, This is great news, Madam. Every servant started to pass on congratulations to the Old Master. First Madam could not help but smile. That is a piece of great news. Dr. Tang, what on earth happened? Thank you so much for your help. Dr. Tang shook his hands. No, Madam, this has nothing to do with me. If I were this capable, I would have cured the Old Master long ago. Not only have Old Master's legs gotten better, but the previously blocked tendons also show signs of unblocking. Even the wounds in his viscera also get better. This is definitely not my contribution. I am also wondering who is so capable to have done so. Dr. Tang looked very expectant. Old Master and Madam exchanged a look between themselves. Oh well, Old Master, Madam, just think about it thoroughly. Did you run into anyone today? Or ate or drank anything different? Anything? Old Master and Madam thought deeply. There was nothing out of the ordinary. My Old Master is receiving treatment in the abbey and no guests come over except for his son and daughter-in-law who visit him sometimes. Auntie Hua smiled. Yeah, it is very quiet here and the Old Master is receiving treatment here because he doesn't want to be disturbed. No one was here today except Madame Chiao and her sister-in-law, who helped us to get Madame home. Dr. Tang's eyes sparkled as he said, They did not meet the Old Master? It was an offhand question, but Dr. Tang was very curious to know the truth. He did not want to leave out any possibility. Chapter 413. Dreaming. Auntie Hua laughed. Of course not, they didn't even meet the Old Master. Yuan suddenly looked up and looked at Auntie Hua. He thought for a while and said carefully, The two ladies? They did meet the Old Master yesterday. Yuan recounted what happened in the forest the day before. Dr. Tang added. Old master was in a coma, and no one knows what they did. Where are they right now? Can I meet them? Everyone present. They felt that Dr. Tang had turned mental. Madam smiled. Dr. Tang, that can't be possible. I don't think that is possible either, so I need to find out what is going on. Can it not be because your medicine works? Impossible. I know what medicine I have prescribed. What about doing it like this? We look for the two ladies. In the meanwhile, old master, madam, and Auntie Hua, you can start to recall what you have given or done to old master or eaten anything special. If we find the cause, the old master's health could turn better. Everyone got very motivated. Dr. Tang, you are saying that old master is becoming better. Can you check him more carefully and see what is it that made him better? Dr. Tang laughed bitterly. If I was able to do so, I would definitely have found the cause. But I can't. Old master's health has improved, but I don't know how. I need to find the cause. Madam nodded. Okay, I got it. Dr. Tang added. If you find the cause, you have to tell me about it definitely. Of course. Dr. Tang sighed and left. Madam asked Auntie Hua to think it through carefully and asked the servants to fetch her son. Her son was very good at finding people. It turned out that her son was Yuezhing Xiao. Yuezhing Xiao was doing accounting in the study, and when he heard that his mother was looking for him, he got frightened and miscalculated things. He turned anxious suddenly, wondering if something bad had happened to his father. So he hurried off to look for them. His mother had never urged him so quickly. He arrived at the abbey and heard what happened to his father. He became so happy. No wonder his mother was in a hurry. His mother just could not wait to tell him the good news. First, Madam narrated what Dr. Tang had told them and said bitterly, "We are clueless about this. We are wondering what happened to your father. Can you help us find a couple of ladies?" Yuezhing Xiao listened to her carefully. But as the story went, he felt that something was getting really weird. Madam Xiao, Mississippi Xiao? Sister-in-laws? But weren't they? How did they end up coming to his abbey and cure his father? Also, since when did Madam Xiao know how to cure people? Yuezhing Xiao felt as if he were dreaming. Are you listening? First, Madam patted him as she saw her son's mind drifting away. Yuezhing Xiao smiled. I am. You need to find those two ladies, right? I will definitely get them here for you. Chapter 414. Invitation. He could not help but describe what Xiao Xian and Xiao Taotao looked like. Auntie Hua's eyes widened. Yeah, that is it. Do you know them, third young master? First, Madam was very surprised too. Yuezhing Xiao smiled. If it was them who were here, then you don't have to worry. We are actually good friends. Madam Qiao's husband, Xie Jingrong, and I get along very well with each other. Madam Qiao is a very smart woman. She can do business well. Hearing that the lipsticks, which were so popular and always out of stock, originated from Madam Qiao, first Madam was taken aback. Is she really that good? What a pity that I did not meet them yesterday. Auntie Hua was very surprised and chuckled. You can't judge people by their looks. Madam Qiao and her sister-in-law looked very ordinary, but they have such hidden abilities. Auntie Hua could not help but feel lucky that she had not looked down upon them the day before, otherwise it would have been so embarrassing. You have not seen them, and I am not sure if they are the ones whom you are looking for. I will go and meet them now. First Madam nodded and urged him. Go right away, don't delay it. Yuezhing Xiao left the abbey, went onto the wagon and told the coachman to head towards the hotel where Xiao Xian and Xiao Yinduan were staying. I have not yet confirmed it, but I do feel that they were the saviors. Sister-in-law is a great woman and I am good as well. What luck I have. Yuezhing Xiao came to the hotel, but Xiao Xian and Tao Tao were not there. The two ladies had gone shopping. They planned to try different cuisines, so they took a slow walk around and bought some interesting things. Yuezhing Xiao could do nothing but wait at the hotel. It was not long after lunch that the two ladies returned. Sister-in-law Tao Tao. Yuezhing Xiao's eyes were sparkling. He was a very calm man, but this was about his father and he could not hold back the excitement. Yuezhing Xiao's sparkling eyes startled Xiao Xian and Tao Tao. Young Master Yuezhing. What happened? Sister-in-law, please tell me, did you go to an outskirt abbey called Southern Garden yesterday? Xiao Xian was startled. She felt that something weird was going to occur. There was one faint idea that almost popped in her mind. Yes, we were there yesterday. How did you get to know? What a coincidence. Yuezhing Xiao laughed as he struck the table. That is where my parents live. You helped my mother and then my father yesterday. I don't know how to thank you. Xiao Xian, Yuezhing Xiao said resolutely. You cured my father, didn't you? Please, sister-in-law, help my father and we will be grateful to you for the rest of our lives. Please stop. Qiao Xian smiled helplessly. So the man we ran into yesterday was old Master Yuezhing? Actually, I'm not a doctor, but I have some knowledge with massage and acupuncture. I was worried about old master yesterday, so... He is better now, right? Yuezhing Xiao laughed bitterly. My father has been ill for many years. He was seriously injured in an accident when he was walking with a caravan. His legs became numb and his internal organs were severely damaged. All these years he has just been dragging his body until yesterday. But you helped him and his spirit has improved a lot already. Dr. Tang diagnosed him today and found that he has become better, and his legs are also feeling some sensation. Chapter 4:15. Try out, sister-in-law, you can definitely save my father. Please help us. Qiao Xian was very surprised. Did it work out well? Yes, it worked very well. Yuezhing Xiao nodded constantly. Please, sister-in-law, can you come with me to Southern Garden, please? Qiao Xian fell into contemplation. Yuezhing Xiao coaxed her. Southern Garden is close by. I promise to drive you back to the hotel before the gate closes. Yuezhing Xiao would not have urged her so much if it had not been for his father's health. He seemed to be a little bit disrespectful when he was pushing her in this way. But Qiao Xian could understand his mood. If he were to remain calm when it came to his father, then such a man would be deemed as cold-blooded. Okay, we will come with you. But I am not sure if I can be of any help. Yuezhing Xiao did not care and said with a smile, Of course, sister-in-law, you can check him first. We won't force you to do anything. Qiao Xian smiled. That was true. They went to Southern Garden and met the First Madam. First Madam sized up Qiao Xian and could not help but develop a good feeling towards this woman. She looked graceful, open and made people feel comfortable. It was you who helped us yesterday, and I should have met you personally yesterday. I am sorry. Qiao Xian smiled. That is fine, First Madam. You are busy and you didn't have time for polite pleasantries. You treated us well though. Also, First Madam, you needed to rest well too. Thank you for your understanding. First Madam smiled briefly and lowered her head. Her nerves remained tensed up all the time, but there was nothing she could do about it. Yuezhing Xiao cleared his throat and said with a smile, Sister-in-law, please don't be so restrained. You can address my mother as aunt, and if you don't mind, my mother can call you niece. First Madam and Qiao Xian laughed. She did not refuse and greeted First Madam by addressing her as aunt. First Madam asked them for their names and called them by their names. She even gave Tao Tao and Qiao Xian a pair of ruby-embodied golden hairpins as greeting presents. They exchanged a few words and then talked about what happened the day before. First Madam realized that Dr. Tang had guessed it right. Qiao Xian had helped her husband. She could not help but exclaim with excitement. Xian, could you please help him again? He has been lying in bed for so many years and I am afraid. First Madam started to sob. Yuezhing Xiao turned to her and consoled her. Don't be sad, Mom. He is getting better, right? His health will surely improve. He and his elder brother had never stopped hiring the best doctors around. Qiao Xian consoled First Madam and replied soothingly. I will give it a try. Let's see if that works. First Madam was so grateful already that Qiao Xian had decided to help them. Qiao Xian had no idea how to do acupuncture or massage. She could not even recognize any spots. She came to help without bringing any needles along as well, claiming that they had come in a hurry. But they had needles ready at the abbey which could be used. As she put the needles on the calf, these caused no feelings except for pain. After putting on the show for a while, Qiao Xian said, maybe if uncle is in a coma, he would be totally relaxed and the treatment would work better. Chapter 4:16. Superpower for disease. First Madam and Yuezhing Xiao exchanged a look with each other. But there were all kinds of methods for curing diseases, and it was not a strange thing that people could receive acupuncture when in a coma. Also, it seemed that Qiao Xian did help him when he was in a coma the day before. Yuan had taken care of the old master for years, and he knew a little bit about medical treatment. After receiving approval from old master, First Madam and young master, he gave a needle at a spot of old master's neck. Old master passed out with his eyes closed. Qiao Xian, that was very professional. When the man passed out, Qiao Xian got down to doing her bit. She asked the others to leave them alone in case she was disturbed. But they were allowed to watch how she did it. Being far away, Qiao Xian pretended to needle Old Master's wrist, but by using her figure and hand movements she covered it up. In fact, she put 2 fingers lightly on his wrist, and calmly poured in her superpower into Old Master's body little by little. She commanded that the superpower should wash away Old Master's clogged tendons bit by bit, so that the severely injured internal organs were slowly repaired and got rejuvenated bit by bit. It required very accurate control of the flow and speed of the superpower, and Old Master's body was almost drained out. So, she had to take it slow in case he could not stand the sudden instilling power. Otherwise it would turn the good things into worse. This was the first time for Qiao Xian to do this to someone. She understood that it was the right thing to do, but she did not have enough time or experience to use as reference. So all she could do was to follow her own instincts little by little. It was a very high energy consuming exercise. She started to have sweat on her forehead, cheeks and on her back. Her face started to turn increasingly pale. First Madame Yuezhing Xiao and Tao Tao saw the changes in her. They were all so nervous, but they were very convinced by her skills by this point. Almost 1.5 hours later, Qiao Xian let out a sigh of relief and collapsed on a chair. The others walked up to her quickly. "Fifth sister-in-law, how are you doing? Sister-in-law, are you all right? Are you okay, Xian? Auntie Hua, come quickly with the ginseng soup." Qiao Xian let out a breath as the superpower went traveling through her body, and soon she recovered. "I am fine, don't worry." "Really?" "Yeah, look at me, I look fine, right? I was just tired, but now I am okay." Seeing that Qiao Xian looked well again and sounded just a little tired, they all let out a sigh of relief. "Sister-in-law, what about my father?" They all turned to look at Qiao Xian in anxiety. First Madame was already holding Old Master's hands, checking him. "He should be fine." Qiao Xian smiled. "He is not in a very bad situation, or we can say that my method should work on him. As long as he goes through proper post-treatment therapy, he should recover to normalcy in a few months." Qiao Xian needed to settle this at one go because the more she did this, the higher were the chances of her secret of being exposed. "Really? Is that so?" The mother and son stared at her in disbelief. Auntie Hua as well as Yuan were both surprised and happy. Chapter 417. Secret. Qiao Xian smiled bashfully. "It should be right, what luck." No, it is not about luck. You saved our Old Master and we all saw that." First Madame did not know how to express her gratitude. "Xian, you are our savior. If you ever need our help, we will spare no efforts to help you." "Thank you very much, Aunt." The mother and the son could not calm themselves down until a long while later. Soon the Old Master woke up. He had a very strange feeling inside. His disease was gone, and he felt so relaxed and cheerful as if he had been reborn. When First Madame and Yuezhing Xiao asked how he felt and received a positive answer, they were extremely glad. First Madame took hold of Qiao Xian's hands, not knowing what to say. Qiao Xian had saved their whole family. She just could not imagine how the family would be like if her husband passed away. "Xian, you should never hesitate to ask me for anything in the future." Motivated, First Madame asked earnestly. "I am older than you, so, can you become my goddaughter? In this way we can be one family." The Old Master also believed that it was a great idea. He smiled in agreement. Both Qiao Xian and Yuezhing Xiao were startled. "How? Mom, let's talk about this in the future." Yuezhing Xiao could see Qiao Xian's concern, which was also his worry too. "LT is getting late and she needs to head back to the hotel, otherwise Brother Xiao would be anxious not to see her there." "Dad, Mom, I will accompany them back to the town now." "Oh well." First Madame and her husband were both confused. Qiao Xian let out a sigh of relief, smiled at him and left. First Madame noticed that it was getting very late too, and she also needed Dr. Tang to check her husband, so she saw them off enthusiastically and stressed that Yuezhing Xiao should accompany them back to the hotel. Qiao Xian accepted the offer and said, "Uncle, Aunt, actually I didn't do much. I still believe that it is luck that cured Uncle. I am not a doctor, so please help me keep this skill of mine a secret, and not tell anyone else that I cured him." Qiao Xian was very pleased about the turn of events on this day. She had not expected that her superpower could cure diseases. Actually, it was not about curing a disease, it was about bringing things back to life and repairing the broken stuff. It was such a bizarre thing and needed to be kept a secret. In future it would be used to save herself and family members, not to make money. Hearing that, Yuezhing Xiao said seriously, "Dad, Mom, if this is what my sister-in-law wants, we need to respect her." First Madame and her husband were both smart people, and hearing Qiao Xian's request, they understood what she was worried about. They nodded and said, "Xian, don't worry, we will arrange everything well and not spread out even a word about it." Feeling assured, Qiao Xian waved them goodbye and left. In the wagon, Yuezhing Xiao released his fist and smiled at Qiao Xian with hesitation. "Sister-in-law, I did not want Mom to. I got it." Qiao Xian smiled. "That was what I thought as well. Really, what a wonderful coincidence." Chapter 418. Concern. Yuezhing Xiao laughed. "Great that you understand it. Even if my parents haven't taken you as their goddaughter, our relationship would not be affected. We are a family and you and brother Xiao can ask us for anything in the future." Qiao Xian smiled. "Sure." Yuezhing Xiao accompanied them to the hotel, but Xiao Yunduan and Qi had not yet returned. Yuezhing Xiao asked the coachman to speed up as he rushed out of the gate and headed back to Southern Garden. He was worried about his father and had decided to stay overnight at the abbey. First Madam and her husband decided to find Dr. Tang to check Old Master up after a few days since Qiao Xian did not want to reveal her identity. They needed to think about how to make up the story for his cured condition. The Old Master was well aware that he was getting better and did not need a doctor this soon. After all, Old Master's recovery was not going to remain a secret for long. The moment Yuezhing Xiao came, First Madam blamed him. "Why did you stop me from taking Xian as my goddaughter?" Yuezhing Xiao smiled bitterly. "Mom, please hear me out. It is not the right thing to do. Sister-in-law would not have liked it either." "What? You know whose daughter is sister-in-law?" Yuezhing Xiao explained quickly. "Her father is county magistrate of the county. The county magistrate used to work in the capital and he desperately wants to go back to the capital. He is selfish and narrow-minded, not a good man. Sister-in-law is his concubine's daughter and before she got married, she had not lived a good life in that house." Yuezhing Xiao was curious about Qiao Xian, so he had looked into her family. Hence, he had a lot to tell First Madam when it came to this point. "Think about this, if Officer Qiao and Madam Qiao get to know that you have taken sister-in-law as your goddaughter, they would definitely come and ask you for favors. At that time, are you going to say yes or no to them? Also, my sister-in-law has already remembered our gratitude. There is no need to take her as the goddaughter because she is aware of our feelings." First Madam could not help but feel sorry. She sighed emotionally. "That explains it. You are right about this matter. This is her worry as well," Yuezhing Xiao added. First Madam smiled. "Then we can drop the idea of taking her as our goddaughter. But we will always take good care of her. Officer Qiao must be stupid as to mistreat such an excellent daughter. He will regret it one day." Yuezhing Xiao smiled. "He is not the only stupid one." Thinking of her own sister-in-law, First Madam smiled. "That is true." Hearing Qiao Xian's story, the First Madam felt even more sorry about Qiao Xian. She stressed to Yuezhing Xiao that he should take more care of the Xiao family and treat them as part of his family. Yuezhing Xiao just did not know what to say. He might be the one to be taken care of by them instead. Yuezhing Xiao asked his father how he felt, to which he replied positively. The whole family ate dinner happily. Xiao Yunduan and Qi returned in the evening. Thankfully they did not drink much that day. They walked in soberly. Qiao Xian decided to tell Xiao Yunduan what they did at Southern Garden. Chapter 419. Mizmi Jr.'s guest Xiao Xian asked Qi and Tao Tao to buy some snacks for the night, and then sat down next to Xiao Yunduan, tugging her clothes and telling the whole incident to Xiao Yunduan. At first, Xiao Yunduan thought that he had heard a fairy tale, but soon he understood what he had heard. "Darling, so you cured the old master of the Yuezhing family?" "Hush." Qiao Xian put her finger to the lips. "Don't be so loud. It was just a coincidence. Very surprising actually. I only did some acupuncture and massage and shockingly it worked. It was a total coincidence that the old master got better with my clumsy technique." Xiao Yunduan laughed. "You are just so lucky." Qiao Xian lifted her chin, raised her eyebrows and smiled. "I think so too." The two of them smiled at each other. After a few moments, Xiao Yunduan said again, "Oh yes, don't tell others about what happened today. What if someone comes to you for medical treatment? Then you would not be able to say no that easily, right?" After all, Qiao Xian was lucky to have cured the old master, but she might not be able to cure anyone else, who might not be so easygoing like the Yuezhing family. Qiao Xian felt her heart become warm and she nodded. Darling, I thought about this too and I told young Master Yuezhing about it. His family would help us keep the secret. Xiao Yunduan smiled and looked at her. That is good. You must be tired today, right? Sleep early. The gathering ends tomorrow. Andy can take you around for a tour before going home, all right? The weather had become a bit colder, but the house was as warm as spring. Under the soft light, talking about the word home made people feel warmer. Xiao Xian suddenly felt happy physically and mentally. She looked at Xiao Yunduan with moist eyes, and her pretty face became more and more lovable under the soft light. Xiao Yunduan felt his heart throbbing, and he almost swept her into his arms. At the Yuezhing mansion, someone from Southern Garden came to fetch Yuezhing Xiao, who had not returned until midnight. Ms. Mi Jr. became happy. She guessed that the old master was dying and that's why Yuezhing Xiao was asked to come over. That would be such great news. It was a pumsment roar not to marry Naduror. Ms. Mi Jr. spent a whole night thinking about this, and early next day she asked someone to find out if Yuezhing Xiao had returned the night before. He did not. Ms. Mi Jr. became even more certain about her guess. She could not help but tell her husband about it. When her husband was young, he was a romantic and elegant person. He especially liked making poems with literature. Yet after so many years he still failed to make one that could earn him a name. He gave it up later and decided to lead a life of playing around and drinking with friends, having fun all his life. He was living a very leisurely life. He had never been interested in family business. He could not even learn a thing about it and it made his head ache. Chapter 420. Rumor. He was very satisfied by what he had now. His two sons were doing well in business and his youngest son was good at reading. He was very proud even though he had no lineal son. Hence he ignored all family affairs. He focused only on enjoyment. Ms. Mi Jr. hated him for behaving like this. She felt so annoyed after being married to him for so long. The first old master was the supporter of the family but her husband was just trash. The first old master had a pair of excellent sons, but she had no sons at all. Hearing her words, the second old master frowned in surprise. That is not possible. He has always been like this. If something had happened he would not have concealed it from us. Ms. Mi Jr. sneered. Why not? He can conceal it from us so they can do something bad in secret. Second old master. The second old master was always very slow in this aspect. He snapped angrily. Why do you care? Mom is still alive and they can't do anything bad in secret. Moreover, our sons are also involved in the family business, and they would keep an eye on those who try to do something bad behind our backs. What are you worried about? Losing interest in hearing Ms. Mi Jr.'s babbling, the second old master went out, humming happily. Ms. Mi Jr. felt annoyed and there was fury arising inside her chest. What on earth had she done to end up marrying such a trash? After some complaints, Ms. Mi Jr. thought for a while and whispered something to her trusted servant. She was not going to drop it even though her husband did not care. Yuezhing Si and Yuezhing Yan were her husband's sons, not hers. They might be successful in business, but none of their earnings would end up being in her hands. Hence, she had to make a plan for herself. She needed to get a share of the family business. Soon, rumor went around in the mansion that the first old master was doing bad at the abbey and was on his deathbed. Some even said that the third young master had been asked to go to Southern Garden, and he looked so worried when he went out. He spent a whole night there. Soon Madame Yuezhing knew about it. She called her eldest granddaughter-in-law and Ms. Mi Jr. and asked about it. What happened to the eldest son? Do you know anything about the matter? Ms. Jean turned to Ms. Mi Jr. She was already aware of what to do with the second aunt-in-law, having been in a fight with her for years. She was going to let her second aunt-in-law answer Madame's question. Ms. Mi Jr. said, I am not sure, but someone from Southern Garden came to fetch Xiao who hurried away. He did not come home the night before, so we have no idea what is going on at Southern Garden. Xiao left in such a hurry. He should have told us what happened, otherwise you will be worried, right, madam? Madame Yuezhing frowned and snorted, looking annoyed. Ms. Jean smiled. Madam, maybe he did not tell you about it because he did not want you to get worried. But I am sure that he won't conceal anything from you deliberately if something really bad is happening. I will get my people to look around at Southern Garden. Those servants indulge in too much gossip. He was at Southern Garden and did not return overnight. What does that mean? Chapter 421. Investigation. Isn't it normal that he stays overnight at Southern Garden with the first old master and the first madam? Who spread the rumor? I will definitely find out who released the rumor. How dare those servants gossip about what happened to their masters? They have startled you, madam? Having heard what Ms. Jean said, Madame Yuezhing nodded. That is true, you need to find out who started the rumor and gossiped about the master. And that person was even jinxing her son. Even though she preferred Ms. Mi Jr. over her eldest son's wife, it was still her son they were gossiping about. She still did not want to hear anything bad about him. Find the culprit and punish that person seriously. Beat that servant and sell him or her out. We must not keep someone horrible like this at home. You are right, Madame Yuezhing. I will bear your instructions in mind. Ms. Mi Jr. clenched her teeth and cursed Ms. Jean inwardly. Since Madame Yuezhing approved of the investigation, she had no way to counter Madame Yuezhing, who might get annoyed hearing any contradictory words. But she still wanted to add fuel to the fire. But after all, Xiao was still too impolite not to have informed us about this. Otherwise there would not have been any problem like this. Ms. Jean smiled. Second aunt-in-law, I don't agree with you. Third brother goes to Southern Garden so many times in a month, must he tell his servants every time he goes there? He is the master, and servants are those who work for him. They are not in a position to gossip and guess about their master's life. There is nothing more we can do about it now. Let's wait until news from Southern Garden arrives. Madame Yuezhing, don't worry. I will arrange the investigation right away. What do you think? Niam using 100 Kia at TNE 2 or TNEM. Stop TNE argument. Sort out TNE matter first. You can go now. Madame Yuezhing was very satisfied with Ms. Jean, who always knew what she should do when faced with an emergency. Ms. Jean accepted the order and retired. Ms. Jean did not care if Ms. Mi Jr. was going to instigate Madame Yuezhing to do something else. Ms. Mi Jr. was in control of her own words, and that was beyond her reach. She only needed to focus on what she was entrusted to do. She had to find out the source of gossip. Her second aunt-in-law went way over the top this time. She started to create rumors about her father-in-law. She was going to counter her, else she would not have any idea how to explain that to her mother-in-law and husband. One night passed at Southern Garden. Yuezhing Xiao and his mother, including Auntie Hua and Yuan, were all very nervous, fearing that old master would return to where he had been before. But the old master turned out to be very lively when he woke up, saying that the night before was the best and most steady night he had experienced during the past few years, and that he felt nothing strange about himself. He even had some sensation on his legs and he could feel Yuan's massage. If all went well, he might even be able to take a walk with people's help after a few days, and maybe after some more time of therapy he would recover totally. Yuezhing Xiao and his mother were reassured and cheered happily. You have to thank Xian. First Madam smiled. Xiao, find a good present for her. I have something for her too. Oh yes, what about inviting young Master Xiao and Xian and the family over for food? We have to treat them properly. Yuezhing Xiao nodded with a smile. What about tomorrow noon? Today is the last day of the gathering. They were talking about therapy and invitation, when Ms. Jean's devoted maid arrived there. Chapter 422, Elder Sister-in-Law. The maid narrated all that Ms. Jean told her to, and First Madam's face sank slowly. How dare she spread rumors like this? Does she really think that there is nothing I can do about her? She in First Madam's mouth was Ms. Mi Jr. The more she thought about this, the more angry First Madam became. Is Ms. Mi Jr. crazy? I don't interfere with what is happening at the mansion, so she thinks that she can do whatever she wants? Good, I will talk to her about this soon. Someone must have spread the rumor about the old master, and that's why the servants dare to gossip about their masters. First Madam could figure out the culprit instantly. Yuezhing Xiao was disgusted too. But he stopped First Madam. Don't get angry, just ignore her. Dad is getting better now. Let's see how annoyed she becomes when she realizes what actually happened here. Anyways, I am going home now. First Madam breathed in forcefully and nodded. Don't tell anyone about your father's recovery, except for your elder sister-in-law. And tell her to stay tight-lipped as well. Okay, Mom. He was going to make it public when his father recovered completely. And his father was definitely going home for the new year. Yuezhing Xiao returned to the mansion and went to Madame Yuezhing directly. Madame Yuezhing asked him about the situation. Yuezhing Xiao was surprised. Dad is still under treatment and he is fine. Who spread such a rumor? Mom urged me to go there because she said that Dad was missing me. So I hurried over and spent the night there. Who is so bold as to spread rumors about their masters? Grandma, you have to defend my father. Dr. Tang says that he is getting better these days, and if he hears such rumors he might be really depressed. Hearing that her son was not getting worse, Madame Yuezhing let out a sigh of relief. Then she became furious. True. Find out who is behind this. Don't worry, your elder sister-in-law is already at it. Yuezhing Xiao nodded and said, I will go and visit my elder sister-in-law and tell her about this so she can be assured too. Madame Yuezhing nodded. Okay, do that. Yuezhing Xiao told Ms. Jean about how his father was recovering and would most likely come to the mansion for the new year. He told her to stay quiet about the matter. Overjoyed, Ms. Jean pressed down her excitement and asked a few more questions out of concern. Yuezhing Xiao told her everything. Ms. Jean smiled. Thank God for helping us, this is great news. Yuezhing Ting and her mother were annoying and kept causing her trouble. Even though her mother-in-law left some helpers for her, Ms. Jean was still very tired. After all, Ms. Mi Jr. was one generation older than her, and Yuezhing Ting was her sister-in-law, so she could not do much to counter them. She was burdened by some family affairs whilst dealing with those annoying mother and daughter. At the same time, she had to take care of her two sons. She wished so much that her in-laws could return to the mansion as soon as possible. She could only be truly relaxed when her mother-in-law was home. Every time she went back to her mother's home, her sisters and friends all felt so jealous of her for not having a pressing mother-in-law. But she could not explain how miserable that feeling was. Yuezhing Xiao said, Parents should be home soon, so elder sister-in-law, just spare no efforts to carry out your investigation. Ms. Jean's eyes sparkled. Really? Of course. Okay, I got it. Ms. Jean suddenly felt motivated. She looked lethal and inspired, ready to get on with the investigation. She was definitely going to reveal Ms. Mi Jr. this time. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian could not turn down Yuezhing Xiao's invitation for lunch. Chapter 423. Visit to the Southern Garden. To be honest, Xiao Xian did not want to turn the invite down. After all, he had been thinking about the precious trees. The next morning, Xiao Xian, Xiao Yunduan, Tao Tao and Xiao Xiaoqi headed to Southern Garden with Yuezhing Xiao for a visit. First Madame, who was immensely grateful to Xiao Xian, felt even closer to her after knowing about her story. Old Master had recovered quite quickly, basically improving every day. This was actually not surprising. Xiao Xian's superpower represented vitality. She had used her superpower to completely restore his body. All that was left was to recuperate and replenish qi and blood. As long as he ate well and rested well and did some exercise, every day would bring new surprises. The old master was very particular with food, which was beneficial for replenishing the body, so he recovered even faster. Therefore the old master received Xiao Xian and the family as well. He looked lively and happy. He did not seem to be tired at all. Xiao Yunduan was very well-mannered and talked about various interesting topics, making the old master feel very happy. He felt that his son was good at making friends. Xiao Xian asked for a visit in the garden last time, but this time, First Madame volunteered to show Xiao Xian and Tao Tao around. There were countless flowers and trees in the garden. Although the old master did not have the opportunity to appreciate them often, First Madame still ordered people to take care of each flower and tree carefully, so that her husband would be able to appreciate the scenery in the garden whenever he wanted to and never feel sad. It was a time when chrysanthemums were blooming. First Madame took the two ladies in the garden for chrysanthemum viewing. First Madame had a wide knowledge about it, so she presented the categories to Xiao Xian and Tao Tao, who were pleasantly surprised. Xiao Xian had seen many kinds of chrysanthemums, but many had disappeared in the later generations, which were now lively here in the garden. Tao Tao was shocked too and said, "We have so many wild chrysanthemums in the mountains and by the riverside. I thought that I had seen all kinds of them. But there are so many different kinds of them here. So beautiful and big, I like them all." That made First Madame and Auntie Hua laugh. First Madame said instantly, "If you like them, I will get Xiao to deliver some to you. Is there anything else you want? Just tell me and I will give them to you. These are not expensive for us." Tao Tao was so surprised and her eyes were sparkling. Instead she turned to Xiao Xian. This was a chance delivered to their doorstep. Xiao Xian was just wondering how to lead them to the topic when they mentioned the matter themselves. Xiao Xian smiled. "Thank you for the offer, Aunt. We are building a new house and we will plant some in our garden." First Madame smiled. "Okay, Auntie Hua, do bear this in mind. In addition to chrysanthemums, Get some good mountain peonies, Chinese peonies, French hydrangea, laurel and magnolias later as well. Anything else you want? Auntie Hua smiled. Okay, madam. Qiao Xian smiled. Oh yes, aunt, I find that you have some fragrant rosewood and red sandalwoods in the garden. Can I have some of those interesting plants too? Both First Madam and Auntie Hua were startled. Chapter 424. Prediction. Qiao Xian smiled. Small tree buds are fine, or even some twigs are all right. First Madam smiled. Xian, you do have good judgment. You like nothing except these expensive ones. Auntie Hua laughed. Very true. First Madam said, your uncle has been interested in those trees for a long time. He has bred many of these just to make wonderful furniture. He was worried that they would not be enough, so 30 years ago, he planted many tree buds in the southern garden, as well as in other gardens of ours. Some of the tree buds grew up, some failed to live, but those in southern garden grew best. I will fetch some suitable ones from the other two abbeys and give them to you. Or I can just get Xiao to buy some back. Twigs are useless, not that I am too stingy to share some with you. First Madam would not turn down what Qiao Xian asked for, though what she had asked for seemed quite unexpected. Her husband loved those things and would not be stingy as to not share any with Qiao Xian. He could just buy some more buds and breed some more. Qiao Xian simply could not wait toward the tree buds but smiled. Aunt, you don't have to make such a fuss. I'm very good at planting trees and flowers. You can just give the twigs, I can definitely breed them well. Tree buds are not needed. First Madam. Although Qiao Xian tried to conceal her anxiety, First Madam still sensed how anxious she was about it. Alright then, she could get her some twigs. Anyways, she was going to get the tree buds as well, so Xiao could deliver those to her place later. First Madam did not believe that twigs were useful, but she pretended that she believed her. Okay, that sounds good. Auntie Hua, just get some twigs and tie them up for her. Okay, First Madam. Thank you, Aunt. No worries. First Madam smiled. Oh, what kind of twigs do you want? Tell Auntie Hua about it. Qiao Xian thought for a while and smiled. They don't have to be too big or long, also no withered twigs. She made a gesture. This size will do. Auntie Hua nodded. I have remembered it all. The turn of events pleased Qiao Xian a great deal. Done. She had a feeling that after this, the space would definitely give her a lot of surprise. After walking for a while, First Madam took them back to the house for tea, snacks and a casual conversation. At lunch, Yuezhing Xiao stayed with Xiao Yunduan and Qi whilst the First Madam was accompanying Qiao Xian and Tao Tao. First Madam had made a lot of efforts for this lunch. She transferred the chef from the mansion and started to make preparations the night before. The dishes were made with a lot of effort and they were, of course, exquisite and delicious. Almost every noble family had their private dishes and special pastries. So did the Yuezhing family. The Yuezhing family's famous dishes were clear soup cubulos and abalone knuckles. The clear soup was extracted from chicken, duck, elbow, scallops, ham and the soup was clear as water. The cubulos was smooth and soft but did not break when eaten. The freshness in the mouth was just indescribably wonderful. The abalone knuckles were flavored with a special broth, and the sauce was thick and bright as oil and fat were removed, so the whole dish was soft and delicious. Chapter 425. Lucky these two dishes could not be eaten anywhere outside their family. First Madam introduced the specialties to the two ladies, and Qiao Xian and Tao Tao, after eating such delicious food, praised the dishes generously. It was always nice to see that the guests liked what the host had prepared for them, especially for First Madam, who had been taking care of her husband all this time and never got a chance to relax. She had not treated people over a meal in a long time. That was also the first banquet she arranged for people, which was significant for her too. Seeing that Qiao Xian and the family loved what she had arranged, she felt really happy. Xian, you are not in a hurry to go home, right? What about staying at Southern Garden for a few days? The chef is very good at making food, you can eat many delicious dishes here. But Qiao Xian could not stay overnight. She smiled. I should not turn down your invitation, but we have been away from home for too many days, and it is time for us to go back. We are building a new house and we can't be outside for too long. Also, Uncle is still recovering and needs to be taken care of. We can't keep you busy at the moment. We will come to visit you on our next trip. First Madam smiled. It is a deal then. You definitely have to come to visit me often. When spring comes, just remember to come and see the flowers. There are many beautiful sites in the province which I have not visited for many years. We can go there together next time. Qiao Xian felt warm inside her heart, so she nodded and said, "Okay, I will definitely be here." The old master still needed to rest, so after lunch, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan as well as their family left. First Madame told Yuezhing Xiao numerous times that he should treat them well and should give them the wagon to go home. Yuezhing Xiao nodded in agreement. The following day, Xie Jingrong treated them to a meal. At the banquet, he was surprised to hear about the old master's recovery and congratulated Yuezhing Xiao sincerely. Later, Xiao Yunduan went shopping with Qiao Xian, Qi and Tao Tao for a day and bought some stuff. They decided to go home the next day. Yuezhing Xiao had 2 wagons prepared for them, one for them to ride, and the other for the products and presents which the Yuezhing family gave to them. These included the twigs and some small tree buds which they had found. Yuezhing Xiao said that when the new house was built and the spring came, he was going to visit them and bring the plants to them personally. He also said that the brocade boxes were presents given by his mother to Qiao Xian. It was still Chu Shan who drove them home. They set about before dawn, so when they arrived at the county, it was still quite early. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan booked 2 rooms at the hotel, telling Chu Shan to stay there for one night as well. There was no good place for him to stay at their current home. They had just booked the hotel and were about to get onto the wagon, and they heard a sound of "hey" behind their backs. Startled, Qiao Xian knew that it was Qiao Ko who was there. She and Xiao Yunduan exchanged a look. They waved and blinked at Chu Shan and the coachman in the wagon, thinking that they were lucky that they had not yet gotten into the wagon. Good. If Qiao Ko and Xiao Wei saw them going into the wagon, they would have had difficulty in explaining what was going on. Qiao Xian turned around and saw Qiao Ko lifting the drapery, smiling at her and Xiao Yunduan. Next to her was Xiao Wei. Chapter 426. Slap on face. Xiao Xian held in her anger and walked up to Xiao Yunduan. "What a coincidence, sisters." Qiao Ko sneered. "What are you doing here?" Xiao Yunduan smiled. "I am going to college and my wife is keeping me company." Qiao Wei snorted. "Minghua College does not follow rules now? Anyone and everyone is allowed to go inside?" Qiao Xian said, "I will be waiting for my husband outside." Qiao Ko chuckled. "It seems that you and cultivated talent Xiao are getting on well with each other. When you were about to get married a while ago, you cried loudly, begging not to get married. But it seems that you were pretending, right? Good that my mother knows to whom you should marry. Look at how well you are living now." Having heard what Qiao Ko said, Qiao Wei and the maids around them laughed. Qiao Xian got so angry that she wanted to hit this person. This bitch was so annoying. How could she say such words in front of Xiao Yunduan? Xiao Yunduan moved his feet and guarded Qiao Xian behind his back, glancing at Qiao Ko plainly. "I admire second miss, and she is a kind-hearted woman. She has adjusted well to the marriage and we are living a good life now." Qiao Xian had not expected that he would say so. Feeling sweetness inside her heart, she looked up at him and could not help but blush. She felt a bit embarrassed when hearing such passionate words in front of others. She should hear them in private. Qiao Ko got stuck with words and could not help but feel jealous. What did Xiao Yunduan mean? So he knew that Xiao Xian disliked him earlier, but he still kept flattering her, so she was finally moved by his actions? What kind of woman was Xiao Xian that she was so cherished by someone? She deserved to shed tears and get disdained by everyone around her. Qiao Ko sneered. "Stop being so full of yourself. Do you admire Xiao Xian or are you trying to suck up to my father? Everyone knows the truth." Xiao Yunduan was silent. He wanted to suck up to county magistrate? He had never been to the Qiao family's home except for the 2 times when he had to. Moreover, he had what was he sucking up to him for? But he did not need to defend himself because everyone including Qiao Wei understood clearly that Qiao Ko was just being stupid. That made Qiao Ko feel slapped on the face. She glared at Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian said calmly, "It is getting late, what are you still doing here? If you want, we can find a place and sit down and can have a good chat with each other." Qiao Wei sneered. "No need." Then she told the coachman to drive on and left. They were on the street and she did not want to have any conflicts with Xiao Xian here. It was never a good idea to start a fight on the street. The more she thought about this, the more angry Qiao Ko became. She could not help but complain. "Sister, second sister and that cultivated talent are so annoying. They look harmless but they are actually full of terrible tricks. Cultivated talent Xiao is just a cultivated talent at the moment, But he dares to treat us in this way. What if he becomes a recommended man? What more would he do to us? Well, I don't think that he can become a recommended man, but maybe he will try other ways? I wish that he was not a cultivated talent at all. How could such a poor cultivated talent behave like this? He did not deserve to even speak with her. Qiao Wei's eyes sparkled. She snorted and said nothing. But she could not help but think about what Qiao Ko said. Chapter 427. Back home, that was true. Cultivated talent Xiao had never sucked up to their parents and even treated Qiao Xian so well. He should not be a cultivated talent. He should just be Qiao Xian's page boy. Back at home, she sent Qiao Ko away and went to her mother, telling her what happened. Madame Qiao did not care much and said disdainfully, "So girl, he is not sucking up to your father because he knows what he is capable of. He knows that even if he tries to suck up to your father will never want to speak with him. You think it is easy to make it to a recommended man? Those knowledgeable people need years to make it to that level. Xiao Yunduan just won't be able to do so. Also, didn't he say that he won't attempt it next year? Just stop thinking about this." Qiao Wei still felt a bit annoyed. But you never know if he will change his mind. I think that we should remove his title as the cultivated talent too. In that case he would not be able to do anything at all. Qiao Ko felt annoyed and Qiao Wei was annoyed too. She didn't expect that Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian would not bend down in front of them. No, that won't work. Madame Qiao looked serious. Cultivated talent Xiao is your father's son-in-law after all, and if his title is removed, your father will be humiliated. He definitely won't make it to the recommended man, so why bother to make a fuss? You will regret it deeply if your father gets angry. Qiao Wei was startled and hesitated. Her mother was right. The cultivated talent Xiao was too poor to become a recommended man. Also, it was not very easy to remove his title as the cultivated talent either. What if she caused trouble and her father lost face? She would suffer deeply, and that would only mean a favor done to Qiao Ko and concubine Du. As she thought about this, she remembered that it was Qiao Ko who instigated her to do so, and Qiao Wei became even more annoyed. She was not someone who tolerated her anger. So she told Madame Qiao about everything. Angry Madame Qiao shouted, "What a bitch! How dare they try to use us? Wei, be careful not to be used by that bitch." Madame Qiao felt so angry that she snapped at concubine Du and Qiao Ko when they greeted her the next day. Concubine Du was ordered to stand still for 1 day and her legs were shivering by the end of it. Qiao Ko was too scared to argue or protest. When Qiao Ko and Qiao Wei's wagon went far, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan climbed onto the wagon. Xiao Xian felt quite anxious. Although she knew that Xiao Yunduan was not a superficial person, she was still quite worried that he would be affected by what her sister said. She wanted to ask him and give some explanation, but with Qi and Tao Tao around, she could not find a way to start the conversation. She was feeling quite heavy in her mind. Suddenly she felt a touch of warmth on her wrist. Xiao Xian looked up and saw Xiao Yunduan's eyes on her. Xiao Yunduan pinched her wrist and released it, talking in a soft voice. "Let's go home." Startled, Xiao Xian no longer felt anxious. She smiled and nodded with her eyes sparkling. Okay. When he said, "Let's go home," they were heading towards their home, so he was still treating her as his family and it meant that no one would be able to separate them. Xiao Yunduan smiled back at her and both of them felt relieved in their hearts. Back at home, the sun was setting in the west. The whole family was happy to see them back and helped to carry the gifts into the house, chatting happily. Chapter 428. Stupid cousins Zhu Shan and the coachman left from there when it was getting late. Xiao Xian put most of the stuff back into the room, and shared some with Miss Fang and Miss Su. She asked Qi and Tao Tao to carry the tree buds into the garden. She was going to deal with them tomorrow. Then she shared the snacks with the entire family. First, Madame had given them 2 boxes of pastries, which were made by their special chef at the mansion. They were sweet and crispy and everyone loved how they tasted. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian felt assured hearing that everything was going well at home. When they talked about how bustling the province was, Miss Fang could not help but look forward to visiting there, let alone Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni. They had never thought about this earlier, but things were different now. Xiao Xian smiled. "When it becomes warm next year, we will all go there for a trip, okay?" "That sounds great. I want to go too." Xiao Sanlang and his wife were the most motivated when hearing the proposal. Miss Fang looked at the couple, hesitating. "But can we all really go there?" Xiao Xian smiled. Yeah, Mom, we can rent a wagon and we'll arrive within 1 day. Our whole family will go together. Anyways, we have enough money with us. We don't have to be worried about anything. Miss Fong laughed. Okay. We will all go there. Okay. The whole family laughed and talked when suddenly Xiao Lulang rushed in. Fifth cousin. Everyone was startled. Miss Fong frowned and asked Miss Su and Yang Xiaoni to go make dinner. Xiao Yunduan was confused. What is it? Xiao Lulang looked so angry when he said, Why didn't you tell me about going to Brother Yu's home for a visit? Xiao Lulang had been suffering terribly ever since he got to know about it. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He just could not help but imagine how Xiao Yunduan stood out among all those excellent people, and he was so annoyed by this imaginary picture. He was counting the days for Xiao Yunduan to return, and the longer he waited, the angrier he felt. Hearing that Xiao Yunduan was back, he could not wait even for a single moment to come over and accuse him. Fifth cousin, your behavior is way over the top. Brother, you and I are good friends too. So, how could you leave me behind? You are just jealous of me speaking vividly with him and fear that he will like me better than you. Xiao Xian. She could not help but look at Xiao Yunduan with sympathy. She and her husband were indeed a perfect match. She had annoying sisters and her husband had stupid cousins. Xiao Yunduan looked at Xiao Lulang coldly. Are you mental? You should go and find your own friends. Yuezheng was not a very common surname, and Xiao Lulang ignored the Zheng part of the surname when talking about it. This stupid cousin of his did not even know what his friend was called, and he still insisted that they were friends. Xiao Lulang's eyes were widened. How can you say that? Eldest uncle, stop it. Xiao Yunduan's eyes sank slowly. Xiao Lulang, there is no use calling me my father. You can't make Brother Yu turn into your friend either. I suggest you study more and read more rather than befriend people. My friends are unrelated to you and I don't care about your friends either. Chapter 429, Pretending People. Xiao Lulang said, You must have messed around later. Extremely annoyed, Xiao Yunduan replied without hesitation. If you had not sucked up to him, how would Brother Yu know who you are? You said that you had a nice chat with him, but what did you speak with him about anyway? Why didn't he send you any invitation? Xiao Xian chuckled and smiled. Darling, maybe you are wrong. Maybe you have hidden the invitation which was meant for your cousin? Xiao Lulang followed up. Yeah. Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Xian added again with a smile. That is called, you can never wake up those who pretend to be asleep. For example, it is daytime, but that person would always say that it is night because he has his eyes closed. It is dark because it is night as per him. Xiao Yunduan almost burst into laughter, despite the anger he held in his mind. Xiao Lulang. What are you talking about? This is what I mean. Xiao Xian said coldly, My husband has already put it forward clearly that he and you are not on the same level, so stop messing around with his friends. Hearing her blunt words annoyed Xiao Lulang even more. Eldest uncle felt that Xiao Xian was not being nice. He immediately said, Miss Xiao, watch your words. Ignoring him, Xiao Xian continued. You are well aware whether or not you had a nice chat with my husband's friends, right? Actually, even if you had a good conversation with them, so what? Xiao Lulang was stuck in words. True, so what? He was very confused. What was he thinking about anyway? Xiao Yunduan asked him coldly. Is there anything else? Just leave if you have nothing else to say. Xiao Lulang stomped his feet, snorted and left. Eldest uncle felt so sad. Yunduan, you are studying together and you should stay close to each other. How can you? Elder uncle was very confused why Xiao Yunduan called young Master Yuezheng as young Master Yu instead when he was talking with Xiao Lulang, but he did not think that was important. He said, You can go out together and take care of each other. Dad, you are wrong. Xiao Yunduan replied straightforwardly. He is selfish and overly confident. I don't get on well with him. So please stop trying to get us together in the future. I don't want to get involved with him in any way. Let me tell you the truth, no teacher in the college has ever said that he is intelligent or good with studies. He is just lying to you all. He is very bad at homework as well. He has been punished many times for not being able to recite any articles. Dad, why do you think such a person would help me when I need it? Eldest uncle was shocked. Is that true? I did not say anything in the past because I didn't want to cause trouble. But I am not lying to you. You can ask around it, you don't deceive me. Eldest uncle felt bitterness arising inside his heart. Then why don't you give him some tips? Miss Fong became displeased. Just look at how he behaves with us. You think Yunduan's words can get through to him? Xiao Yunduan said as well, you can instruct and guide him if you want to, Dad. Eldest uncle sighed and felt grievous. But if what you say is true, but... Chapter 430, Jealousy. Emma Fong sneered and was eager to watch a good show. She said to herself, just speak with him and see if he wants to listen to you. Xiao Lulang still believed firmly that Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong had treated him as a friend and that Xiao Yunduan must have stopped him from joining them for the visit. But he did not know how to counter him and he had no place to vent his anger. The next day eldest uncle could not stand it any more. But when he tried to guide him to the right path, Xiao Lulang snapped at him and complained about Xiao Yunduan, saying that eldest uncle should discipline Xiao Yunduan so he would not dare to treat him like this in the future. The eldest uncle finally got the chance to tell him what he had been prepared to tell him after a long while. The moment Xiao Lulang heard him, he interrogated eldest uncle about where he heard such a rumor. He shouted and asked who was trying to humiliate him. It must be Xiao Yunduan who said that, right? He is lying, he is just jealous of me. Xiao Lulang kept accusing Xiao Yunduan aggressively but he did not dare to confront Xiao Yunduan about it. In the end he ignored eldest uncle and left from there angrily. Eldest uncle was confused. He did not think that his son would lie to him but his nephew was also a literati who did not seem to be lying either. After breakfast, Xiao Xian sorted out the presents and gave a portion to each member of the family. Xiao Xian finally unpacked the gifts which the first madam gave her. She had been prepared that the first madam must have given her many expensive presents, but what she saw was far more than she had anticipated. Just the whole set of 40 pieces of gold head and face jewelry inlaid with gold and jade were already dazzling her eyes. The hairpins, the crown, the earrings, everything was exquisite in workmanship and beautifully made. Xiao Xian could not wear them outside right now, but each piece was so beautiful to look at. It made her feel happy. First madam apparently knew that this was for her to appreciate and collect, so she gave her 20 more pieces of jewelry which were well made and proper to be worn in daily life, beautiful but not too outstanding. Apart from jewelry she had received some exquisite garments, fragrance, cubulos, donkey hide gelatin and some other jadeware as well as some porcelain for flowers. First madam did not really take her as goddaughter for real, yet she seemed to treat her like one. Xiao Xian felt very moved. She had saved the old master's life for sure, but first madam also treated her with full sincerity. After she put the precious things away, Xiao Xian went to the garden to plant trees. She needed to put her plan into practice quickly, and asked Qi and Tao Tao for help. She planted those buds in a corner of the garden, but did not work on the twigs. She dug a hole and had it half covered with the soil, and waited for the right plants for transplantation. Transplantation did not actually work, but she needed an excuse to put these things into her space so she did the whole charade. When the trees were planted, they checked the mushrooms inside the shed. Snow fungus were all out and the fruits were growing, but they were not ripe enough to be picked yet. The mushrooms and wooden ears could be harvested though. Let's just pick the mushrooms, wooden ears and snow fungus for sun drying today. Qi and Tao Tao nodded in agreement. Chapter 431, Updated Space. I will fetch the basket and the bucket, and also get the elder sister-in-law and third sister-in-law. With that, Qi dashed off. Soon Miss Su and Yang Xiaoni came over with baskets and buckets in their hands. Yang Xiaoni smiled. I just told my elder sister-in-law the day before that we should be ready to harvest mushrooms and wooden ears. Now that you are home we can pick them. Miss Su pursed her lips. You remember things related to food the most. Everyone burst into laughter. Xiao Xian smiled. Fresh mushrooms and wooden ears are very tasty, but we have no meat at home, or we can make ground meat with mushrooms and that would be fresh and delicious. We will make a portion next time we buy meat. I will make some desserts for you with snow fungus, dates and lotus seeds. They were all very excited when it came to food. They were fast in their actions and soon collected all the mushrooms, wooden ears and snow fungus in their buckets and baskets. Xiao Xian weighed them and believed that there were 15 kilograms of snow fungus. Approximately 500 grams of dried snow fungus could be produced from 3 to 5 to 4 kilograms of snow fungus. Then with this harvest they would get around 2.5 xofit. She had looked around in the market in the province. 500 grams of excellent snow fungus could be sold at 50 liang, and even ordinary ones could be sold at 20 to 30 liang. Snow fungus produced by her were large, with appropriate thickness, and pure in color without any flaws. As long as there was nothing wrong during the sun-drying process, they could be sold at the highest price. Hence, this small basket of snow fungus was worth more than 200 liang. Qiao Xian asked Tao Tao and Miss Su to carry the harvested fruits back into the house, while she remained there. They thought that she was just checking the mushroom shed, so they left accordingly. Qiao Xian shut the gate, let out a sigh of relief and could not wait to rush towards the buds. She put the 20 twigs of trees into the space. No one would notice the strangeness happening in the garden since no one was around. When someone walked in and saw them missing, she could just say that the twigs had all gone rotten. What a perfect lie. When the 20 twigs went into space, they were deeply rooted directly. Qiao Xian could even feel them starting to grow the roots right after they got grounded in the soil. The magical energy inside the space grew vividly and made a huge stir. Motivated, Qiao Xian sensed instantly that her superpower had improved as well. She could even sense the moisture in the air and make an even longer day of weather forecast. The house, which had been covered with mist, was now getting very clear. But it was not enough. Qiao Xian pulled bud after bud and put 5 of them into space. Instantly, the magic became even stronger. She could not help but walk into the room. This time she was not stopped. The room was right in front of her, empty. The wall opposite the gate was a storage shelf with layers. There was something in there that looked very much like an ATM at a bank. She walked forward and put her hands upon the misty screen, and soon she was greeted with a lot of information. It told her what she should do with that ATM. Qiao Xian smiled brightly. This device was not only going to help her distinguish every plant in her space, but was also going to offer all kinds of answers related to plants. Chapter 432. Trash space into treasure. As her superpower grew stronger, she would get richer and get more answers from this machine. For example, if she got some precious and good things but had no idea what they were, she could come to the machine and try to figure out the significance of it through the machine and find the answer. For another example, if she wanted to know how to process some kind of tea leaves, she could turn to the machine and get the instructions here. When it was upgraded to another degree, she would have no problem improving the current technological problems, rakes, or the farming tools. The grids and boxes leaning against the wall were all for storage. She could put everything that was not alive inside. Each grid had a volume of 100 cubic meters, which would be enough for her for however long it was. They could be categorized neatly, very handy. Not all the grids were activated, but the very bottom row was already enough for her. That pleased Qiao Xian a great deal. The trash space had already been updated to turn into a place of treasure. She just could not help but give it a try, so she picked 2 leaves of golden sprout, put them on the screen of the machine and read inside her heart. Soon there appeared a line that displayed the name, features, and fragrance along with the processing methods for the golden sprout clearly. What was more magical was that due to the special connection between her conscience and the things in the space, she only read it once and remembered it all. That was wonderful. As long as the processor was skilled and good at processing the tea leaves, it would not matter if he did not know how to process golden sprouts and lavender. She had not done it before, but she had a lot of knowledge with her. After this, Qiao Xian put some leaves of fruit trees and gastrodia so as to find out some instructions about them. For example, how should gastrodia be planted and taken care of, and how it should be used, what could lemons be used for, and how to make the best plum wine and dried fruits, etc. She was having great fun with it. She did not leave the place until a long while later. Back to where she lived, Qiao Xian put her money, land contracts as well as the excellent garments and jewelries along with the extracted oil from flowers into the space. She finally felt much more assured. In this way she would never worry about thieves. This place was completely safe. How wonderful. Xiao Yunduan was very surprised to see that she was walking proudly and cheerfully. He couldn't help asking her, "Mind sharing the good news with me?" Qiao Xian looked delighted, but she could not reveal too much, so she smiled brightly hearing her husband's question. "I am just very happy. Look at my mushrooms, they are so well harvested. And our new house is almost done, everything is great." Xiao Yunduan nodded and laughed. "Yeah, everything is great, we should be happy." "Yeah." They smiled at each other. The following day, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan went to the Jianghu village again. Chapter 433. All well-being. Erju and his wife as well as Madame Zhou, land officer, and his wife were all helping them out, so everything went well there. Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou were down-to-earth people and the land officer and his wife might try and do some tricks on them. But Madame Zhou was smart, and she was older than everyone else. So, if she said something as an elderly woman and was reasonable enough, no one would dare counter her. The land officer and his wife were both people who understood what was best for them. They were not able to trick the couple and simply decided to work hard and devotedly instead. Therefore, everything went on smoothly. When Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian went over, it would take 3 more days before the land was settled. Xiao Yunduan expressed his gratitude and appreciation towards the land officer with a smile. "You are very reliable. We will probably need you to hire some more people to help us with the tea tree planting, also for weeding, trimming, picking and so on." The land officer's eyes sparkled and he said with a smile, Okay, young Master Xiao. Don't worry, as long as you entrust us to do the work, we will definitely make sure all is done well, and you will be satisfied." The land officer could not help but feel relieved that he did not cause any unpleasantness in this task, otherwise the long-term work would not be entrusted to them again. Due to this assignment, almost every household had managed to earn some money. They were able to afford a few new clothes, blankets, snacks and some other things which were very beneficial for them. Xiao Yunduan nodded at him with a smile. The land officer was definitely going to tell the Jianghu village about this. In order to have a long collaboration, they knew clearly what they should do. After the land officer left, Xiao Yunduan, Xiao Xian spoke with Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou about building a new house. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan already had the plan ready. They were going to build 2 yards and 2 wing yards. The smaller wing yard was for storage of farming tools and food. The bigger wing yard was to be used as the processing workshop and storing tea leaves. The creeping figs could be processed here, so the house needed to be built well. Xiao Xian even decided that when the house was constructed, they would buy 2 guarding dogs for Ding Erju to keep for patrolling and safeguarding the area. Moreover, the front yard could be spared for Ding Erzu's family to live in. Outside the yard, she wanted to make a vegetable garden where a patch of fruit trees would be built, as well as a tumu pool for fish, lotus roots and water chestnut. They could even raise some ducks and geese. Some chicken as well. They would even come over to enjoy a few leisurely days. When the house was finished, the craftsmen could come and start the construction here. They were definitely going to finish the construction before the new year. Ding Erju and his family did not need to worry about the hut that would leak wind. At that time, Madame Zhou could help to take care of the grandchildren and keep an eye on the workers. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian believed that it was a good plan. Madame Zhou was smart and capable. She could watch the workers for them whilst teaching Ms. Zhou how to deal with the situation, so Ms. Zhou could learn these skills for future tasks. Chapter 434. Result of investigation. On the way home, Xiao Xian smiled at Xiao Yunduan. When Aunt Yuejing heard about our business at the Jianghu village, she said that we ought to buy some servants simply because we are going to have much to deal with and we need to cultivate people for the future. Xiao Yunduan nodded. Yeah, we should do so. Xiao Xian frowned. But that is not very easy to do. It is never easy to find people who are reliable. Let's take it slow. Xiao Yunduan smiled. We can visit the province in spring and check it out. We can hire some reliable employees to sign a contract for 10 to 15 years. In this way we will have some people working for us in the long term. Xiao Xian's eyes sparkled. Yeah, true. As long as we are able to afford the laborers, we can always get good ones. She thought for a while and smiled. We can even ask Aunt Yuejing to help us as the middle person. With her around, I am sure we can hire better ones. Xiao Yunduan nodded and smiled. Yeah, there are a few tenants who seem nice. If they want, we can hire them and sign a contract with them for 10 years or more. Xiao Xian felt assured when this issue was solved. Otherwise, she was really wondering what she should do in the long term. They needed to hire the local villagers, otherwise there would be conflicts. But if they all hired people from the Jianghu village, there would be the possibility that they ganged up together to create trouble. If something happened, they could handle that, but the trouble was after all trouble, and it should be avoided in all probability. So, they needed to work it out in a good way. If they bought the employees, they could just work together with the tenants who were not from the Jianghu village. Then they could select some good ones from the Jianghu village so that they could maintain a balance for future development. At the Yuejing family in the province, Ms. Mi Jr. was used to reading people's thoughts. She believed that the first section of the family would never cause any trouble because they always wanted to keep old master steady. She was already used to that. Therefore, she was bold enough to spread the rumor through her maid. In her opinion, There was no point in fearing that the first section of the family would get to know about her deeds. It was always going to be forgiven anyway, wasn't it? It was the first section of the family who wanted to stay away from trouble. Therefore, when Ms. Jean spoke of the investigation and got support from Madame Yuezheng, Ms. Mi Jr. did not really care. She felt that Madame Yuezheng was just saying that casually, and Ms. Jean was not as strong as she looked. She would not dare to cause any trouble. She would not want the first section of the family to be disturbed. Honestly, she herself was the senior person at the mansion, and it was not so easy to pick on her. Since Ms. Mi Jr. did not care, Ms. Jean had no trouble finding the clues leading to Andy Shueisho, who was working for Ms. Mi Jr. Ms. Jean ordered Shueisho and some other older maids who were close to Ms. Mi Jr. to be taken to Madame Yuezheng's yard, where she told Madame Yuezheng the truth. Madame Yuezheng was dumbfounded as well. Chapter 435. Settlement. Madame Yuezheng just wanted to find the servants who spread the rumor, but she had not expected that Ms. Jean caught Ms. Mi Jr.'s closest maid. What surprised her was Ms. Jean's purpose. Was she trying to break up with the second section of the family? Ms. Jean snapped angrily. I don't think the second aunt knows about this. These servants spread rumors about the master and try to turn them against each other all the time. Madame Yuezheng, we must not keep any of these people. Madame Yuezheng's face sank and she nodded sternly. You are right, they should not be kept. Speak with your second aunt and get rid of them. Yes, Madame Yuezheng. Ms. Jean answered and ordered those servants to be taken to Ms. Mi Jr. Hearing that the servants were taken away by Ms. Jean, Ms. Mi Jr. got furious and also surprised. She rushed to Madame Yuezheng's yard, and on the way there, she ran into Ms. Jean. How dare you, Ms. Jean? Ms. Mi Jr. glared at Ms. Jean, looking rather furious. She was slapping right on her face. Everyone knew that Ms. Jean had caught her maids, and if she did not try to protect them, she would become the laughing stock of the family. She was already very humiliated when her niece found out the truth. Here you are, second aunt. Madame Yuezheng asked me to bring those people to you and discuss with you about how to deal with them. Ms. Jean smiled and narrated the whole process. Her words were quite clear. Firstly, she caught these people based on evidence, and Ms. Mi Jr. could see the evidence if she wanted to. Secondly, she had already told Madame Yuezheng about this, and the old lady had ordered a serious punishment. Ms. Mi Jr.'s face turned green as she glared at Ms. Jean. With a sneering voice she said, Good niece, you are good at catching people who are working for me. Why not speak with me first? Do you not intend to respect me as your second aunt? You are not a good wife. Don't be mad, second aunt. I was on my way to tell you about this. Ms. Jean smiled. I was just too angry about the fact that this bitchy maid works for you. How dare she spread rumors behind your back? She must be trying to turn us against each other so that we are not able to get on well with each other. I am just worried that she will make up stories in front of you. What if you believe her again and the relationship between us is ruined? That is why I caught her first, in case something terrible happens. I am not disrespecting you, second aunt. Please open your eyes and see. You, second aunt, this bitch is so cruel that she cursed her master and spread rumors. Due to this, the whole mansion is in a mess. She can't be kept or things would get worse at home. That is what Madame Yuezheng said too. What do you think, second aunt? Miss Mi Jr. got so annoyed that she could not utter any words to counter that. Shueisho was surprised and scared, but she struggled and looked up at Ms. Mi Jr., begging her to save her. She had obeyed her mistress' words and conducted all of these actions. Her mistress had to save her. Seeing their reactions, Ms. Jean smiled. Shueisho, are you trying to imply that you need to speak with your mistress? Take out the cloth from her mouth. Hold on, save your breath. Chapter 436. New House MS. Mi Jr.'s vein on forehead popped as she said coldly, this bitch must have spread rumors for sure. Feed her a dose of the mute drug and beat her, then sell her out. Then she glanced at Ms. Jean, sneering meaningfully. You are excellent, niece. You can deal with this matter properly. But you must take care of yourself in the future because there will be a lot for you to care about. Don't be too busy. Ms. Jean sorted inwardly. She was threatening her, right? All right then, she was ready for anything. 2 months, just 2 months, and then all bitterness would come to an end. Her in-laws would return to the mansion and she was going to see what else she could do. Thanks for your reminder, second aunt, I definitely will. Ms. Mi Jr. sneered and left in fury. Ms. Jean did not soften her heart. She gathered all the servants of the mansion and punished Shueisho and the servants in front of everyone. Shueisho was the main culprit, so she was hit 30 times and directly sent to the abbey. At the abbey, she was going to be fed with mute drugs, and when her wounds were cured, she would be sold out of the province. The others were hit 20 times and got sent to the abbey to do labor work, whilst some honest and down-to-earth ones would be picked to replace them at the mansion. The whole mansion got really shocked when they saw how first young madam suddenly turned so lethal. They were all frightened, especially those who had been used to doing small tricks. Their hearts were throbbing nervously. Hearing the news, Ms. Mi Jr. got so annoyed that she smashed some teacups and decided to take revenge on Ms. Jean. But she had no idea that soon old master and first madam would return to the mansion, and by that time, she would have no position at the mansion at all. At Xiaoding village, the first section of the family's new house was soon finished. Many villagers came to watch the new house and pass on the congratulations. The whole family was very happy, and they had prepared some snacks for the visitors. The yard is so huge. Oh, there are small yards and gardens in the main yard. Look at the bricks on the floor, so magnificent. They are rich and willing to spend the money, so everything looks great. Yeah. I wish we could have such a huge house as well. This joke made people laugh and someone mocked back. Maybe in your next, the villagers took a tour around the house and felt both emotional and jealous. They all clearly understood one thing. No matter whether they felt jealous or other things, the first section of the family had gone one step higher this time. They felt envious, but they thought about befriending the first section of the family so that one day they might be able to get some benefit from the first section of the family, just like Xiao Dali and his family. Therefore, no matter what they were thinking, they could not help but utter some flattering words. Even when it came to fifth Grandma Ding, who felt extremely nervous inside her heart, did not say anything to offend the people around. Chapter 437. Too late. The second and third section of the family came to look at the new house too. The 2 extra rooms built at the second section of the family were already finished, but compared to this new house of the first section of the family, the 2 rooms were just nothing. That made second uncle and Ms. Nyo feel jealous and gloomy. Widow Sun was among the crowd watching the show too. With every step that she took, she felt her heart dripping water. She felt so regretful. If she had known that Xiao Yunduan would achieve this much and the first section of the family would get rid of the second and third section of the family, she would have surely hooked up her daughter with Xiao Yunduan. If that had happened, she would have been a part of this new house too. She was the mother-in-law and she would have been able to move in. But now it was too late. It didn't look like she would be able to find someone better to marry her daughter to. Widow Sun felt so annoyed. When she saw Ms. Nyo, who seemed to feel even worse, she decided to make some noise with her again. Ms. Nyo sneered as she heard what she was told. The first section of the family were all horrible people. After the new house was built, the following step was decoration. The decorating materials were all environmentally friendly, so the quality was guaranteed. They were prepared when the new house was being built. Soon, the windows, doors and furniture were all moved in at this moment. Qiao Xian did not spare any money in making the window with transparent glaze, which was definitely better than the paper window. It looked beautiful and bright, and everyone spoke highly of it except for eldest uncle. As for the furniture, Qiao Xian wasn't that particular. The tables, chairs, stools and shelves in the living room were all made of high-quality fur. The wardrobes and couches in the room were made of high-quality fur or camphor. It was covered with tung oil all over, bright and clean, and the texture was excellent. People in the village needed everything to be practical. She could afford mahogany, ebony furniture, but that was not suitable. 5 days passed and the whole house was done decorating. The 6th day was an auspicious day to move in, and the whole family shifted in happily. Ms. Fang and eldest uncle were located in the front room, and the 4 yards belonged to Xiao Yunduan's 4 brothers. There was a 2-store wing house at the southeast side, and Tao Tao moved into this place since she did not want to live in the front yard. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan got the best and broadest yard. Xiao Yunduan needed to study, so the best yard was for him to live in, and Xiao Xian came from a special family, which made it totally reasonable that she picked it. No one countered the choice. Instead, they were so grateful to move into such a wonderful house, which was all thanks to Qiao Xian. Qiao Xian liked her yard very much. The room was really broad and there was 1 inner room and 2 wing rooms. She could do all kinds of experiments she wanted and did not have to hide from anyone. The patio in the yard was quite large. She had asked people to build 2 flower beds and was going to plant some flowers and trees in spring, plant 2 magnolias and a pomegranate in the corner, and also plant some roses, rhododendrons and other low flowers and plants in the small backyard. The original spring was well protected and remodeled during the construction of the house. After the remodeling, there were still places for drinking water in the backyard. The backyard was twice as big as the previous ones, so they simply built a square pond with a height of half a person and about 5 square meters with black bricks near a courtyard wall to raise some fish. Chapter 438. New Wuxia wooden board covered half of it, while displaying the other half. The fish was kept inside and could be scooped out for cooking whenever they wanted. There was an exit below the sink for changing water. The wide ground in the backyard of the patio was full of flat green bricks that were spliced seamlessly. It was very convenient to dry the recovered rice, harvested taro, corn and beans for later use. A shed had been built for the chicken coop, and the duck coop on the other side of the backyard. Further back there was a 1-person high wall as well as a spacious cow shed. Miss Fong had decided to raise a cow and a donkey. She also had another cart built so that Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian could travel into the town comfortably without having to worry. The first section of the family's life was getting better and better. Miss Fong and Miss Su were taking a walk around looking really happy. When flowers and trees grew in spring, they could open some areas to grow vegetables, and the yard would flourish even more. Miss Su was roaming in her new, broad room, touching the glazed window and the furniture, looking at the bricks on the ground, smiling constantly. Now her daughter and son had separate rooms too, and her room with her husband was enormous, with all kinds of furniture in a large space. That made her feel so happy. More importantly, they did not spend any personal money to do any of this. All the things inside the room were bought from the shared savings, which made her feel really glad as well. Eldest uncle was glad too. But he found it to be incredible. You sold the plants and gained this much? Are the plants so valuable these days? He did not spend any money nor was in charge of handling the money, but he could tell that the glass on the windows was quite expensive. Miss Fong did not want to discuss this topic with him. The house was built and he had moved in, what else could he say? Miss Chow offered some help. She said that the house should be well built so we could live a more comfortable life. Look at what we have got. Eldest uncle sighed and had nothing to say. His brothers were angry about the whole episode and they did not even greet him. He knew what they were thinking. True, building a house was too much of a waste, and if they could save some money he could have offered some help to his brothers too. But they did not do so. That was why his brothers were so displeased inside the heart. But Miss Chow offered the same reason, after which he would have nothing to say. Miss Chow did not stop repeating her words. No nephew's wife supported the uncle's family. A hat would turn us into a laughing stock. They were all glad on the moving day. Xiao Xian prepared some food. Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni went into the town and bought some meat and tofu home. Xiao Xian picked some nice-looking mushrooms, chopped some meat, added some scallions and seasonings and made a dish of mushrooms with meat. Miss Su ground some rice and made a dish called ribs with rice flour. Braised pork belly, stewed pork belly with soybeans, peanuts and lotus seeds, stir-fried pork liver with green onions, and sauerkraut and miscellaneous fish pot were cooked as well. Finally, sugar-coated yams, scallions, tofu and garlic vegetables were all put on the spacious and clean dining room, giving out a wonderful fragrance. Due to the move into the new house, Xiao Xian had prepared a jar of wine as well. It was a happy day for everyone. Chapter 439. The Chow Family Translator. Henyi translations. On the day when the first section of the family moved in, the second and the third section of the family came over to check out the new place. The more they looked at it, the more sour they became. So, they decided not to look at it anymore. They should at least treat them to some food when they move into a new house. They were waiting for the first section of the family to pass on the invitation, and despite the anger, they still wanted to eat the free food. However, the first section of the family never sent out any invitation, which made them really furious. What are they being so arrogant about? They do not want to accept us as family anymore, right? Alright then, we don't care. They should never ask us for help ever again. Unlike the second and third section of the family, those from the first section of the family were all sleeping well in their new house. Everything was spacious and wide in the new house. Moreover, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian could even have their separate rooms. However, they seemed to have forgotten about this. They were still sharing the same room. Qiao Xian was rolling on the bed happily, feeling glad inside her heart. This was the countryside life she had been looking forward to enjoying. There was no shortage of food, clothing and housing. There were flower fields and gardens. The fruit trees produced endless fruits. The vegetable fields had the freshest vegetables. There were chickens, ducks and geese in the backyard, and as much fresh fish and shrimp as she wanted. There were all kinds of mushrooms, bamboo shoots, wild vegetables, wild fruits and other things in the mountains which could be harvested throughout the year. They were also able to make enough money for life easily. She could go out when she wanted to or stay at home if she wanted to. On rainy days, the whole family could gather together to make dumplings, glutinous rice balls, steamed rice cakes and various other snacks. It was all so wonderful. However, she needed to remove the danger of the Qiao family so that this wonderful life could last. Qiao Xian needed to become stronger. The following morning, Miss Fang asked eldest uncle to inform his brothers and the families to come over and eat dinner at the new house. Miss Fang never skipped on what she needed to do. Eldest uncle headed off immediately. He had wanted to ask his brothers' families to eat the day before, but Miss Fang said that the house was too messy to receive any guests, and that they should do it the next day. Eldest uncle believed that too, so he gave up on the idea. But that was not the point. The whole family wanted to have a good first day. Why would they need the second and third section of the family to cause them trouble? They wanted to spend a happy day alone. As to why Miss Fang asked eldest uncle to inform his brothers' families, it was not because she was afraid of the gossip. It was reasonable that they did not hold the banquet on the previous day. But if they did not invite them all together, that would look intentional. Qiao Xian did not cook dinner. It was Miss Su and Yang Xiaoni who cooked, since she already did a lot of cooking the day before. They prepared 1 chicken, 1 duck, and they fetched some carrots, vegetables and leeks as well as some yams, mushrooms, wooden ears which would lead up to 2 full tables. They would have more people into the family in the future, so they had 1 large dining room built in the house. The place could hold 4 tables or even 6. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.